What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of The Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about the box office that we didn't get to talk about yesterday, about Fantastic Four and Superman, and what it means for the box office and what excuses they're making now. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about, watch a video from Bellular News talking about Battlefield. It says Battlefield has never had this chance, so we'll watch this video. We're also going to talk about, as the dust settles of Battlefield 6, first beta weekend, Dev confirms that they're looking into unexpectedly fast kill times in the FPS. We're going to talk about BioWare wanted a Dragon Age Trilogy remaster, but EA wouldn't fund it. And then we're also going to talk about Dune Awakening is already walking back a plan change for the next update. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon Eastern. I clearly completely blanked there for a second. I was like, how long do I do it for? Yeah, from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. If you would also like to help us out here, we also have a music album out called Perk Up Press Play. We have a couple of singles out as well. You can go to our links down below: Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Amazon Music, Apple Music, anywhere you can stream music from. We have an album up there called Perk Up Press Play, and then a couple of other singles as well, so check it out. All right, give me 1 second, because for some reason my camera looks like it's I don't know why it's changed. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, yep. Well, ooh, there we go. All right. All right, what's going on, chat? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Eclipse? Sarge? Jason, good morning. Kylo, good morning. Roic, good morning. Big Mo, how's it going? Wonder Rose, good morning. Kraken, what's going on? All right. Let's start off with the box office. Since we missed it yesterday, let's start off with the box office today. Okay? So, the first story that we got going on here is 800 million is the new billion. Yeah, the 800 million is the new billion. Here's the latest Superman and the Fantastic Four box office. All right, Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps both earned more than what was reported on Sunday this past weekend. But as one insider explains, the theatrical landscape is changing. Okay, so weekend actuals are Fantastic Four First Steps and Superman in both movies earning more than what was reported on Sunday. Okay, but what were reported on Sunday? Okay, so if we go to Fantastic Four, Sunday is 4 million and Superman is 2 million. Okay, if you guys notice the overall earnings for each of these things. Okay, now Fantastic Four has been out 1 week less than Superman. Superman's at 579 million. Fantastic Four is at 435 million. Okay, Superman will not break the $700 million mark. It's just impossible because it's just not making any more money. It's gonna drop even lower than this, and around 45 days is when it leaves the box office. So we're about 14 days, about 2 more weeks away for Superman to leave the box office. And in the next 2 weeks, it might make an additional $50 to $60 million. $50 to $60 million is going to get it to around. It's going to get around $625 million. Okay, $630 million. I predicted it was going to hit 715. Obviously, it fell short because the international just doesn't not want to watch it. So is this movie going to be financially successful? Probably not financially successful, but according to James Gunn says it didn't need to make that much money. But we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens there. Okay. It says the Marvel studio titled suffered 59.3% drop gross of $15.8 million in North America, brings its domestic to $230.7 million, and the reboot's legs are weaker than expected, meaning it's likely conclude that the U.S. run will with a $260 million to $265 million. So if we go to Fantastic Four, 230 right now, 260 I would say is probably around 250 maybe, because again, it's a massive drop off. So next weekend, it's only going to bring in about 2 million, 3 million, 2 million on the weekend box office. So this is going to be a massive loss as well, because it cost them $200 million. It cost them another additional $150 to $200 million for marketing. So about $400 million budget total, which means they have to hit about $600 to $700 million, and they will lose about $150 million for this Fantastic Four film. Now, this is the last film leading up to Doomsday from Marvel. There's a Spider-Man movie coming in next summer, which is not a Marvel film, but obviously it could lead into the next, or I should say, yeah, it's not a Marvel studio film. It's not a Disney film. It's a Sony picture film, which will probably break $1 billion, right? Let's be honest. The last 3 Spider-Man films, each one got bigger and bigger and bigger. So it made a crap ton of money. It says overseas, the Fantastic Four Steps made an additional $18.3 million during its third weekend in the theaters, taking its total to $204.6 million, a combined worldwide haul of $435.3 million. $450 million is coming this week, but can the movie reach $500 million? Probably it's going to suffer. It's going to slowly creep up on that. $490 million to $510 million is the current estimate, and I also believe that is less than Disney's Marvel Studios wanted to expect from the Marvel's first family this summer. Now, as for Superman, this is where I think it's funny. A lot of Superman fans, again, I'm not a Snyder fan, I'm not a Gunn fan, but a lot of people were coping here, right? Because they're saying this is the best Superman film. It's going to beat Man of Steel, and obviously it's not going to come anywhere close. Right now it's about 90 million short, and it's not going to hit it, right? It is not going to hit Man of Steel. So now they have to move the goalpost a little bit, right? Oh, if you guys didn't notice. Oh, wait, you can't see it. You can't see it. The goalpost is built again. The goalpost is back up. So, waiting to be destroyed once again. Okay. But they like to move the goalpost. So now, here's the words that they use. Ready? As of Superman, or as for Superman, that had a better week-to-week hold and beat Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice $330.4 million this weekend to become the highest-grossing movie of all time, featuring Man of Steel at the domestic box office. Very specific, right? Even though, because if you go look at Superman, it made $331 million, which is more than Batman vs. Superman. But overall, it's about $300 million short of what Batman vs. Superman made, okay, which is not even going to come anywhere close. And then on top of that, Man of Steel, okay, Man of Steel without inflation is $670 million. With inflation, I think it's going to be closer to $1 billion. It's like $940 million, okay? Without inflation, just the base number of 670, right? Yeah, sure, it beat it domestically, okay? But the worldwide box office is 90 to 100 million more than the Superman box office, right? When it's all said and done. Because this will be creeping over 600, maybe 615 million, okay, which would still be 80 million short of the last Superman film to come out, okay? But let's put a bunch of words together and make it, well, it's the greatest Superman film, right? Because before they told you it was the greatest solo Superman film. But now that it beat Batman vs. Superman domestically, they're like, oh, it's the #1 all-time featuring Man of Steel at the domestic box office, except for overall worldwide, the other Superman did better. Superman made $8 million from Friday to Sunday, dropping by only 42%, adds $331.4 million to its $247 million overseas. And DC Studios' reboot sits at $579.2 million worldwide. As you can see from the numbers, international audiences haven't flocked to Superman the same way those in the U.S., and the movie will also hurt by Warner Brothers' decision to release it on digital as soon as August 26th. Holy Christ. It's coming on digital as soon as August 26th. So that means they lost quite a bit of money in the theaters. Now, obviously, will they make the money back in digital sales if people buy it, if people rent it? Sure. But we're just talking about box office here. The box office, it didn't make the money. It's losing money in the box office. Okay? $600 million is locked, but Superman now looks to tap out at $620 million to $640 million. I don't think it hits 640, but when all said and done, it's a solid result. Okay? Discovery is unlikely to be blown away by. Theatrical landscape has changed massively since the pandemic, and the days of Blockbuster making it a guaranteed $1 billion are over. For proof of that, well, hold on a second. Before the Marvel era came into the theaters, there was like 2 to 3 movies that made $1 billion. I think it was like Titanic. I forget the other two. It was like Titanic and something else, right? Up until like 2005. Then after 2005, we had more billion-dollar films in like a 5-year gap than we ever did in entirety of Hollywood. Okay, so now obviously that's the number going up. A salute, as we always say. Okay. But now that they have that number, they assume that everything is going to make that, which is just not the case. Okay. It says, for proof of that, look no further than China, the territory that used to add hundreds of millions of dollars to the tally to Hollywood blockbusters. Most now struggled to make double digits. As a Hollywood Reporter explains, Jurassic World Rebirth crossed 800 million mark globally today. Few in town thought it would also outgrow Superman. No, I think everyone here said, at least in my community, right? We said that Jurassic Park would win out over Superman and Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, but also because of dinosaurs, right? That's what we said, right? Not just me. You guys said it as well, or at least a majority of you. But also these numbers represent a new box office reality. 800 million is the new billion, says one agent head. Oh, yeah? Huh. Didn't Mario make $1 billion? What else made $1 billion? Barbie made $1 billion. Oppenheimer, I think, just shy of $1 billion. Right? Is this the new 800 is the new billion? It's crazy. Maybe if your budgets weren't so goddamn high, maybe you would actually make more money. Okay? If that's correct, 400 million to 600 million is the new norm for superheroes. Both Marvel Studios and DC need to figure out how to make the work to their advantage. Yeah, lower the budget. Lower the budget. Okay? So is that where the article ends? Well, that's weird. Okay? I don't know if 800 is the new million, but I do know that Fantastic Four will lose money for Marvel. I do know that Superman will lose money for DC in theaters. Right? That's what I do know. I don't know if 800 is the new billion. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Oh, one more thing before we end up there. Hold on. I want to show you this for a second, because we put this in general today. This made me laugh, right? This made me laugh. This right here made me laugh. Okay. Supergirl is expected to beat Spider-Man brand new day at the box office next July. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Get the fuck out of here. Supergirl won't even beat Superman at the box office. Right? Supergirl won't even break this right here. Okay? Won't even break Superman, let alone Spider-Man. Let's just look at something real fast. Okay? Let's just look at the last 3 Spider-Man films. Okay, the last 3 Spider-Man films, which was Homecoming, No Way Home, Far From Home. Okay? Spider-Man Homecoming 2017 made $880 million. Supergirl will not make that. Okay. Spider-Man Far From Home 2019 made $1.1 billion. Okay. And Spider-Man No Way Home made $1.9 billion. Almost crossed the $2 billion mark. Okay. And this person, this delusional person, thinks that Supergirl is expected to beat Spider-Man brand new day at the box office next year for Spider-Man 4 with the Punisher and the Hulk in it. Let me tell you something. You are smoking something, and it's something bad. Get off of it now. Okay? Because I said in our Discord, okay, never going to happen, and I say never. I never use the word never. Never going to happen. They are dreaming, and I will go on record that if they make a trilogy, a Supergirl trilogy, 3 of them, which it won't happen, but if they made 3 Supergirl films combined, they won't beat Spider-Man one film. One film, let alone this film up against that film. They are smoking something. Okay? Never going to happen. But again, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Krebsy says, and that's $1.9 billion during COVID, right? Where they told you that no one was going to the theaters, right? And let's go on top of that more, Krebsy. Superman, okay, just taking Man of Steel and Superman, okay? Superman at the $579 million with the average ticket price of $16. I've talked about this a couple weeks ago. And Man of Steel that came out 13 years ago, 12 years ago, okay? At 670, no inflation, just that. This Superman film had half the people watch it. Okay, half the people watch this new Superman film than they watch the other Superman film at the average ticket price of $8. Okay, and it couldn't even beat the Man of Steel. And they think that Supergirl is going to beat Spider-Man. That person thinks, they actually think that Supergirl is in the same stratosphere as Spider-Man. One is the largest, not speculatively, Spider-Man is the largest, most popular superhero. The only person that comes next to him is Batman. Okay? There is no effing way that Supergirl gets anywhere close to Spider-Man in popularity and in box office number. No way. They are smoking. Jason says a movie with Spider-Man, Punisher, and Hulk won't do better than the Supergirl. Yeah, sure. Yeah, they're crazy. Crowd says they have to be getting flamed right now. I have no idea what they're like. Yeah, run that, run that. Yeah. Travis doesn't understand the average ticket cost. See, Travis, the way it works is the average ticket price goes from the lowest to the highest, and the average ticket price is what's in between. So if you see a movie for $7 and someone sees a movie for $21, that would be an average of $14, okay? More people go to a higher-end theater. They go to an IMAX theater. They go to whatever. So the average ticket price is $16 right now, right? I don't pay $16 to go to a movie. Krebsy says, no way home releasing outside of COVID would have been the first to break $3 billion. Maybe. I don't want to say no. I feel like the people that wanted to go watch Spider-Man were going to go watch it regardless of COVID or not. And that's why people are like, no one's going to the theater. But then they came out for Spider-Man. Jason says Batman even crossed $1 billion. Yeah, Batman's never sold. I mean, the biggest one I think is Matt Reeves' is Batman. And that got like 800 million, right? Joker broke $1 billion, which is crazy. Sarge says the porn version of Supergirl will only make 300 million. Krebsy says COVID stopped the repeating viewing of those. Scared for the bug? I don't think so. Honestly, Krebsy. I think the people that wanted to go to the movies wanted to go see the movie. I think people, that's why it made almost $2 billion. I think people did repeat it. I mean, I know people that went to go see Superman 4 times. 4 times. Hell, I think Angry Joe has seen it 5 times. Okay? I understand it's not during COVID, but what I'm saying is that people that want to see the movie are going to go see the movie regardless. Right? If they went to the movies once, they're okay. They're not going to be like, well, I'm scared to go the second time. Those people, the reason Spider-Man made $1 billion is because people went for second viewings and third viewings. It wasn't like a one and done, like, oh, we saw it and I'm not going back. They're like, no, this is amazing. I'm going to go see it again. Eclipse says that's not happening. Again, people wanted to see Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man again. Member berries is a hell of a drug. You're not wrong there, Eclipse. You're not wrong there. I don't know if the next Spider-Man breaks 1.9 billion. I do believe like it gets close to a billion, which then will go back to this article saying that 800 is the new billion when the next Spider-Man breaks a billion. I just think it's funny. The Snyderverse versus the Gunverse. They have to be really pissed off now, right? Because the Gunverse couldn't even beat the Snyderverse's first film. Just straight up. Not even for inflation. They couldn't beat the Snyderverse's Superman Man of Steel. Just straight up. All right. Let's go to the second story. The Snyder Bros are a strange breed. Yeah, I don't get it myself. It's worse than console wars, Jason. It's worse. The Snyder Bros versus the Gunverse or versus the whatever verse, right? They're worse than the console warriors. I don't get it. Right? I just think it's funny that people report and go, Superman's the best Superman film ever created. Even though if you inflate the original Superman, it outdoes the Superman today. But even if for a 1-to-1, they're like, this Superman's better than this Superman. Well, money talks, bullshit walks. Okay? And the talking now is that this Superman film did not make more money than the 13-year-old film that came out. Okay? It's just funny to me. Everyone's like, you chuds take the loss. It's like, look, numbers don't lie, right? Numbers don't lie. Money doesn't lie. You could say a movie's doing great and people love it, but the money is what tells you if the movie is successful or not. And that's based on the actual budget of the film and the marketing of the film, and you combine that, and then you look it up, and then you go, did it make money? It didn't. It lost money. And I can't believe that August 26th, Superman will be on digital formats. That's 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. Krebsy says, when does James Gunn make his Rebel Moon? I don't know. Probably a couple years. He's locked in. He's locked in with Supergirl and Clayface and everything. I bet you Clayface makes a profit. I don't want to say more of a profit. I bet you Clayface, the horror film that they're making for a budget of like $40 million, makes more money than Superman. Because it's a lower budget. All it has to do is make $1 for profit, and it's more successful than Superman. Hell, it could lose less money, still lose money, but be closer to the budget and still make more money than the Superman film. Jason says they believe such a mediocre director is on the level of Scorsese. Cinema. Absolute cinema. All right. BioWare wanted a Dragon Age Trilogy remaster, but EA wouldn't fund it. No, they had to get the greatest Dragon Age Veilguard game out the door. They had to give you the message. Okay? Dragon Age, like Mass Effect, didn't have the best time when the most recent title was released in October 2024. That feels like a forever ago, doesn't it? It's not even a year ago. BioWare and Electronic Arts dropped Dragon Age Veilguard, which wasn't received by audiences, much like the 2017's Mass Effect Andromeda. However, Mass Effect has an advantage over Dragon Age in that the series boosted a trilogy remaster. When recently challenged on why Dragon Age doesn't have a trilogy remaster or legendary edition, former BioWare executive producer more than 20 years ago, Mark Daria, explained what's up. He says, do it with the money you have. Okay, Mark Daria departed BioWare in 2022 after spending 24 years rising through the ranks of the company. He saw some of the most popular games in certain eras and go out the door in BioWare, including Mass Effect, Quadrilogy. Is that the correct term? Quadrilogy? Is that correct? I don't think that is it? I guess it would be Right. Trilogy. Is it quad trilogy for four films? I don't know, chat. Let me know. It just sounds weird. And every it might be right. Yes, like duology. Okay. So quadrilogy is the correct term. Thank you. Okay, Dragon Age game, bar last year's Veilguard. In recent interview with Mr. Matty Plays, Daria got onto the topic of Dragon Age Trilogy Remaster, not remake, in the vein of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, explaining why it's probably won't ever be a thing. Because BioWare's dumb. That's basically it. They don't want to throw the money because they're dumb. They're like, people like this game. Like, at least Bethesda knows their clientele, right? They're like, they really like Skyrim. Let's re-release Skyrim. They really like Oblivion. Let's remaster Oblivion. They really like Morrowind. Let's do that up. They really liked Fallout, right? At least Bethesda gets it. BioWare's like, nah. Let's not do a remaster. They don't want that. Okay. So honestly, I think they should do. I don't think they will, but I think they should do a remaster. But the first three, one of the things is they pitched at one point pretty softly was a retroactively rebrand the first three games as if they were a trilogy and call it a Champions Trilogy. Maybe you do that. At the first steps, you also take those three games and maybe Veilguard. You shine them up. No, you don't do Veilguard. You take Veilguard and you shove it off to the side and you don't mention it again. Sort of like the Ghostbusters film from 2016. Or Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull. You just kind of slide it off to the side. You pretend it doesn't exist, okay? Not remaking, see what happens, and then maybe go from there. Dario highlighted that the stark similarities between the states of Mass Effect franchise and the Dragon Age franchise, but admitted that there's a latter and this much harder to remaster than the former. Not only that, but there's also no money coming from EA to support the idea. Because EA doesn't have money, right? EA doesn't have money. Why would EA have money, chat? They only have the ultimate team cards for FC and Madden, and now they're trying to monetize Battlefield 6 to God knows where, making it a Fortnite-esque type of Forge mode, right? Where they constantly just have you coming in and paying and buying different things with inside the Battlefield universe. Remember, they wanted a Battlefield universe. Remember that. Okay? So EA said that publicly they're kind of against remasters. I don't really know why. It's a strange and publicly traded company. It seems to be against free money. But they seem to be against it, so that's part of it. They're against remasters, huh? But yet they keep releasing Madden every year the exact same way. That's sort of like a remaster. Let's bring back the hit stick. Let's bring back the Cone of Vision. Let's bring back the whatever. Okay? Also, they did make Mass Effect remasters. So what are we talking about? One of the earliest things was let's do Frostbite tools and then let them find a mod house and seems talented and just uplift them and pay them to do the remake of Dragon Age Origins. Where there's a lot of pitches around it, there was also a way we can bring Dragon Age Origins forward. The studios ruined the financials with themselves, and I think they also, to some degree, EA's stance was, sure, go ahead and do it, but do it with the money that you already have. We couldn't do it with the money that's already that we have because they're doing all other things. So Dragon Age Veilguard scored well in the review stakes when it also came to release last year, but failed to resonate with the general audience. Did it do well in the review? Did it? Do you think Dragon Age Veilguard, do you think Dragon Age Trilogy Remaster could revive the franchise a little? I don't know if it revives it, but I do think, I mean, as a clip said earlier with Tobey Maguire coming back in Spider-Man, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Like memory berries is a hell of a drug. So if you brought back Dragon Age and remastered it, I mean, it could get the love that Mass Effect got, but it's too soon because you had Veilguard. You have to let that simmer. It's not even been a year. So let's say Mass Effect came out years and years later for the Legendary Edition. Okay, if Dragon Age came back, let's say 5 years from now, they did like a remaster or something, then I would say it would be good for them. But at the same time, I don't think all of a sudden it brings back the whole franchise. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's back. I don't think that would happen. I think the fans that like Dragon Age would love Dragon Age Remaster. But at the same time, there's still that cloud of judgment over EA and what they did to the Dragon Age franchise, right? So I would never, ever put the Veilguard into that group. Just do the first 3, leave it as is, do a remaster of that, and let it be. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Would you be interested if they made a Dragon Age remaster? Would you be interested if they, only put those 3 and left Dragon Age out? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Jason says, OG Dragon Age isn't gay enough. Ray says, how I see people in charge of gaming companies, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Qui-Gon Jinn. Waterbear says, what's going on, fellow gamers and noobs alike? What's going on, Waterbear? Make a game, sell a game. Singleology are better than Trilogy. Waterbear says, I believe Failguard got 9s across the board until reviewers were called out for their shit, and then the scores, it actually scored 6s and 7s. So let me look that up, right? Was it the Metacritic? Metacritic. Dragon Age. Dragon Age Veilguard 82, 3.9 user score, 76 on PC, 82 on PlayStation 5, and Xbox 85. So you go, 85. I mean, not terrible as far as the game, but we all saw the clips. We all saw the clips. So, it is what it is. Krebsy says BioWare needs any form of a W they can get. I don't know. I don't know if right now, obviously, like I said, 5 years from now, you bring out a remaster, maybe. Don't do it anytime soon, though. You still have the stench of Dragon Age Veilguard on there. Titan says, give it 10 years and reboot the series. I don't know. You think rebooting the series would do a better job? I don't know. I think they would fuck it up, Titan, in some way, shape, or form. I think they would screw it up. They would try to make it more like Veilguard. You know what I mean? Dragon Age Inquisition got 85. Dragon Age Origins got an 86. Dragon Age 2 got a 79. Dragon Age Origins Awakening got an 82. Right? I mean, they all scored around the same. So, they're in that mid-80s type of thing. Waterbear says, I'd be interested if Dragon Age Remake, not a remaster, unless it's an Oblivion remaster like. Roic says, just an update on the graphics at the sounds and release it. They could do exactly what they did with Mass Effect and do a Legendary Edition with 1 and 2. Yeah, I think if they do like a Legendary thing, it'll be fine. Just do it a couple years from now. Eclipse says, I don't know if they made a remake, it would also just be a Dragon Age 2. Origins would be played nothing like they did before, and what they did with Origins awesome, the way it played back in the day. Well, that's how Mass Effect was. Mass Effect 1 to 2 was a huge difference, right? Huge difference. I think they could put them all 3 together, even though the difference of the gameplay. Titan says EA's best remake is Dead Space when they abandoned 2 remake for Battlefield 6. Or is that Battlefield? Yeah, Battlefield 6. I don't know the abbreviations anymore because there's like so many. Like if you said D4, I don't know if you're talking about Diablo 4 or if you're talking about, what was the other one that's there's another one that's like D4 as well. Ray says make Dragon Age into My Little Pony, where they also use the powers of friendship to defeat evil. That's what I want, Ray. I want a Care Bear game where you join. It's a live service Care Bear co-op game where you do Care Bear Stare and you all defeat evil. That's what I want. Make it a battle royales. Why not? Waterbear says Origins has more turn-based. I prefer the style of Inquisition. Reminds me of the Final Fantasy remake. Care Bear Stare. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll be honest. After Dragon Age 2, I kind of lost it. I didn't play the third one. I didn't give a shit about Dragon Age Veilguard. Just, I'm good. For me, personally, I don't care. And I think by the time it comes out, let's just say it's 5 years from now, I don't know. I don't think people would be interested. Maybe it's smart. Maybe it's smart that EA doesn't make the remaster. But I do think they have plenty of cash they could throw at something to make easy money. But the fact is, if they throw money at a company, will they make their money back based off of the trilogy? Sooner than later? No. I think if they do it down the road, maybe an anniversary edition or something like that, like wait for like, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, and then redo it. Maybe you can push it that way. Dead Space 2 remake on hold for Battlefield. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I'll tell you what. I watched a video of was it Star Wars HQ, or it used to be Star Wars HQ. He used to make a lot of Battlefront Star Wars content. He brought up a point, right? Obviously, we always talk about Battlefront 3, and now that Battlefield 6 is out and the way it looks and plays, he was like, does this mean that the next game that they work on is going to be Battlefront 3? And I was like, that's interesting. Now, obviously, Star Wars or Disney wants anybody and anyone that wants to make a video game to make a video game. Now, EA doesn't have the exclusive rights anymore to Star Wars games. But if Battlefield 6 does well, okay, if Battlefield 6 does very well for DICE and it's a live service game and whatnot and it works out, does DICE next game, is it Battlefront 3? That's a good question, right? I would selfishly like a Battlefront 3. I would love a Battlefront 3. But they have to make sure it's like Battlefront 2 at the end, not the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would love if Battlefront 3 is like what Battlefront 2 was by the end of Battlefront 2, where they stopped supporting it at the start of Battlefront 3. And they just keep adding more stuff to it. And maybe they do the exact same thing what they're doing with the Portal. Okay, and again, this is in a dream world. But if Portal comes out and you can make your own maps and your own things and do all this stuff, if they did that to a Battlefront, that could be interesting. Right? That could be interesting because then they take the Portal, do what they did with Battlefront or Battlefield, sorry, and then put it in Battlefront, and then you, the creators, make your own battles, big scale battles inside of Battlefront. Now that might be something that I would be interested in, but we're still 7-8 years from that. So I'll be mid-50s by then. So we'll see. But it brought up a conversation. I was just like, that maybe that's the next game they work on. All depending on how Battlefield 6 does. Waterbear says, Battlefront 3 is definitely a day one purchase for me without a question. Eclipse says, I would not say it was turn-based. It was also definitely action. You could also pause it whenever you wanted to. Krebsy says, Mass Effect Legendary Edition released in 2021. Has it been that long already? It's been 4 years already? Jesus. Waterbear says, that's up there with the Ultimate Alliance 4. I don't even need to see a gameplay. Just pre-order button. I wouldn't pre-order, but I would be excited for it. Pre-order doesn't exist for me anymore. Sort of like those other movies that just don't exist. Ghostbusters 2016, Dial of Destiny, Crystal Skull. They don't exist. Eclipse says, and where you also can fly to space. That would be so sick. Yeah, see, we're getting excited just listening to it. Titan says, DICE, greedy hands once again with Star Wars. Here's the thing that a lot of people forget. The fan base pushed back so much on Battlefront 2 that the microtransactions never got into the game what they were supposed to be at launch. It was before launch. It was the beta that we saw and was like, what is this? They didn't put it back in until 3 months later, but then they completely changed. They already ruined it. I think Battlefield 6 I think Battlefield 6, if the portal does well and the game does well and they do all these stuff, if they could bring what they're doing with Battlefield 6 but in Star Wars, that would be pretty cool. If you could just fully destructible environment, make your own Star Wars maps with inside the world, right? All depending on what their monetization practices is over here is, because I think they're going to monetize everything. I think Portal's going to be monetized up the wazoo. I do. Microtransactions, different packs and passes and different things. We'll see, though. I mean, Fortnite, you're going to be able to make your own Star Wars maps, right? They're teaming up with Star Wars and Fortnite are teaming up, and you have the access to make any Star Wars game you want with inside Fortnite. Obviously, it's that graphics that you have to use, but that's pretty big. That comes out next year, right? That opens up next year for everybody. Anybody that wants to make a Star Wars map or Battlefield-esque type of thing can do it with inside Fortnite. Silver says, just make sure Battlefront 3 has BR, lets people like Tim, the Tap Man, have this one. Yeah, it definitely has to have a BR, right? Because when you think Star Wars, you think solo play with a circle closing in and trying to escape, right? That's exactly what you think, Silver. You definitely need a battle royale within the battlefield. Well, I'm sorry, in the Battlefront. For sure, for sure. Krebsy says, what each studio is doing in Battlefield 6, DICE is making a multiplayer, Ripple is making the BR, Centurion is making the campaign, and Motive is floating between multiplayer and campaign. Well, I would assume the campaign's done. Once the campaign's done, they're gone, right? So Motive is open. Ripple is making the BR, right? So what are the other three studios going to do? Because once the multiplayer is done, they can slim down. They don't need everybody to make all the stuff. You would assume all hands on deck right now making all the maps. So let's say they have 15 maps, but they're only releasing 9, and they release the other 5 over the next 2 years. Who knows? It's EA. Of course they will extremely monetize. Of course. What if we can make Need for Speed and Portal? It's the same engine. I mean, I would assume that you could do whatever you want within the engine as long as they give you the tools, right? Sarge says that would be a win. That would be a win, bro. Forge for Battlefront 3? I think that would be huge. Think about this, right? I was thinking about it yesterday after the Tapman stuff, right? At the very end of his video, he's talking about Portal, and he says, I think it's going to be big. I said, I agree. I do think the Portal's going to be big. And I even said it yesterday, I said, if in Portal I can just make the big battles that I want, and I don't need to play the main game, but obviously you have to buy the game to play the Portal. If you could make and have your own community within there itself and make these maps and make the servers with inside Portal, I understand that Battlefield is not making the game. You are the creators themselves or the players themselves. But that's pretty cool if you can do that. Because if they can't make a good map and someone that's very passionate about it can make a good map, well, that's content, right? Does it matter, I guess, if you're a player, if you just want to play Battlefield, if Ted made a good map and Charlie made a good map, I don't know, I'm making up names here, okay, instead of Battlefield themselves? As long as you're playing the game and having fun, does it really matter that it's official or if it's not? They're opening it up to have people create the game. People in Halo like playing those maps. In Fortnite, people like playing different maps and whatnot. Is that a bad thing? Does that mean it's Battlefield anymore? It does, as long as the gameplay stays the same. Now, I don't like the Portal where you have to fly through parachutes through hoops and you're tank racing, but I'm okay with that more than I am with the Battle Royale, because at least you're still inside the Battlefield game. Right? The Battle Royale to me just seems like it's a standalone game and just using the Battlefield name. Waterbear says they could also be Death Star mode similar to BR mode, where the Death Star is closing in on the Rebel Alliance, but you have to find a way to blow it up. in the set amount of time. Yeah, but is that solo play? You know what I mean, Water? Like a BR, to me, is a solo game. Solo game, right? So if I'm a Rebel Alliance, it's like every man for themselves. Like, the laser's going to shoot down, okay, on us as we're running around the map, but we're trying to escape. I don't know. Just seems strange. Salty says, Motive, get your ass back to making an Iron Man game. Titan says, the studio with nothing to do, working on Bad Company 3, obviously. We could only hope. Unfortunately, Titan, I think the only way we're getting to Battlefront, the Bad Company 3, is making it ourselves inside of the creative map. Because let's be honest here, if Battlefield 6 takes off with the Battle Royale and with the portal, we ain't getting another Battlefield game for years and years and years. I mean, it took 4 years to get this one, but if this takes off with the portal, you ain't getting another Battlefield game officially. We're gonna have the Grand Theft Auto of Battlefield now, where they just keep racking in the money with the stuff that's in the game. Right? You're not getting the Elder Scrolls 6. You're not getting Battlefield Bad Company 8. You're sitting in the portal. They're going to be making money off of that as long as they can. Eclipse says most of the time, fans making the best thing. It's true. More passion in there. But I'm a normie, and I don't want to browse the portal for a game. And you can still play the regular game modes, right? You can still play the regular game modes. If I get into a group like we used to play in Bad Company, and I get in the same group of 70 people, 60 people, whatever, and we all join that map, and it's like we play 3 times a week, I'm good. Competent people playing a match, all just having a good time. Salty says they make the best map ever to be an official map and get paid maybe. Well, they already said that the payments in Portal, I believe, are points and something else. I don't think it's actual pay. You don't think EA would actually pay, do you? I don't think so. I don't think they're doing a Fortnite thing. I could be wrong, though. Waterbear says, did you see the little teaser to put in general chat from Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, I did. Obviously, I think we knew he was coming in. But then again, what is he, 34 characters now if he comes in? Like, what's his screen time? 2 seconds? They should name people that are not going to be in Doomsday. That would take less time than the people that they're announced to be in Doomsday. Argus, thank you very much for the 19 months. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for the continued support. Moving right along. We got the next story. Oh, you couldn't hear the cheers. I was muted. That's for the 19 months. Appreciate you. Krebsy says Black Ops 7 is basically an expansion of Black Ops 6, but it's called New Game. Battlefield 6 could do the same. Yeah, 100%. If it's successful, Krebsy, Battlefield 6 is staying here for a long time. I mean, I guess they could put Battlefield 7, but it also doesn't come out yearly. Battlefield's never come out yearly. You know what I mean? It comes out every like 2 years or 3 years. Titan says, I hope Doomsday's story is still intact. Yeah, I can't wait to watch the movie where every person that comes in the movie has one line of dialogue and dies, and then they move on to the next guy who has a dialogue and then dies. All right. Next story is Dune Awakening is already walking back a plan change for next update. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. So Dune Awakening won't increase how dangerous static compactors are after rolling back part of the update before it's out. The MMO has had its fair share of ups and downs since coming out early this summer, but the devs have been quick to respond to users' complaints in many cases. In the latest example, Dune Awakening fixed controversial change before the change even occurred. Static compactors are a crucial tool for harvesting spice and flower sand in the game, but they also come at a cost. While they also make it easier to gather more resources in less time, Dune Awakening's compactors extract or attract sandworms, so players use them cautiously to avoid unfortunate end. This risk makes the tool fairly risky, but also Funcom is also planning to make them even more so in the upcoming patch before the fans spoke out against the change. Dune Awakening walks back compactor threat increase before patch 1.1.20 release. The upcoming Dune Awakening 1120 update contains some major changes, one of which is supposed to be the increase of static compactors threat level. While the patch notes were also vague about what it might look like, fans quickly criticized the decision, saying that using the tools was also already dangerous enough. How an update of the game official Discord spotted that the Redditor originally confirmed that the devs have heard the feedback and decided to keep the controversial threat level changed out of version 1.1.2, which means that they're still thinking about it, right? They're like, let's rethink it and see how we can do. Other Redditors in comments also seem apprehensive of the shift, shouting to the devs that are listening to the players. It's uncertain how the fan base will feel about the rest of the changes in August 12th update right now, but Funcom respond to the criticism so quickly is a positive sign. Not every update has gone out so smoothly for the company, though. After July 2025 patch caused some users to lose the in-game items, the studio is being issued reimbursements to Dune Awakening players affected by the unintended consequences. Oh my God, did I lose? I don't care. I'll be honest, I don't care. The devs haven't been able to solve every problem players have brought to their attention quite so easily either, while Funcom also promised to address the game's well-documented Goomba stomping problem. What's a Goomba stomping problem? Some Dune Awakening players are griefing issues, keeps getting worse. Even so, so far as the grifters are going to ruin the game. While some of the players also still run in trouble of the grifters, Funcom has at least made it clear that they're listening and responding to the fans and have to say. So my thing is, obviously they're making changes on the fly and making changes to the changes that they're going to make on the fly. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I'm okay. Obviously, it's a light MMO. It's a live service game where they're going to make changes as they go. But it's like they're making changes, but they don't think it through. And that's why all of a sudden they're about to put it in. The fans are like, you can't do this. It would actually make it worse, and then people would stop playing. One of the other things is the griefer problem. Okay, I don't know what the Goomba stomping. I guess that they're taking the helicopters and smashing them. I'm assuming that's what it is, if that's still in the game. But the problem with that is that the more you go, or the grifters are grifting because they're bored, right? Does that make sense? Like, they would grift no matter what, but if there was something to do in the game, then they wouldn't grief. But they're griefing because they've either done everything in the game, so that's why griefing does more, because people see it happening and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to do that. It's pretty funny. You can do that. Yeah, let's team up on this person. It's like bullying in school. It's the exact same thing. When someone bullies somebody, they're like, oh, it's pretty fun, and they keep doing it. Okay? Not that I'm saying bullying is bad or good. I'm just saying that that's the same exact type of thing, right? So grifters, the reason they're doing what they're doing is because the game itself is boring for them at this moment. So you have to figure out, what can we do to make these guys stop doing what they're doing and make them more engaged with the actual content? And what they're doing is, the Funcom, they're like, well, let's make the thing more difficult to use instead of leaving it where it is. They're still thinking about it, right? They're still thinking about changing the compactors, but they're not changing it for the 1.1.20 update, which, I don't know, man. I feel like you need to figure out or put more content in the game. Stop making changes to the game right now, like major changes to the game, and just figure out what you need to put in the game, or at least hint what's coming to the game to keep more people interested, either coming back or stuff for more things to do in the game, instead of making the things that you have more grindy, more critical to keep people coming back and staying in the game longer, because you're stretching out something to make it more difficult, right? So I don't know the exact changes to this particular thing, but if the compactor already, excuse me, if the compactor already makes a lot of noise and attracts the worm, but now you're going to make it worse. That just means I'm going to have less time to harvest the spice. And if I have less time harvesting the spice, then it means I have less time to gather the spice, which means I have less product of the spice. And if I have less product of the spice, then I can't upgrade my stuff. And you're alternating the grind fest of it and making it artificially longer because of something stupid. Where I think instead of doing that to go, we need to slow these players down because they're playing too much of the game, you need to figure out how to get the rest of the players to play the game more. Does that make sense? I don't know. So, these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Are you playing Dune Awakening still? Did you make it to the end game of Dune Awakening? And what is going to make you come back if you were playing Dune Awakening? For me, nothing they could do could bring me back. I have to play the single player. I still haven't completed the storylines and stuff, but I put 120 hours in. I was just kind of like burnt out of it. But that's my own fault. I still have plenty of stuff to do in the actual game itself, but I just don't have the drive to go back and play it right now. Right? But I think that's gaming in 2025. Sarge says, hello, chat. Please remember how you tube now. Oh, you changed the algorithm. Appreciate that, Sarge. Krebsy says, new trailer for Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox August 26th. It ends with the Halo ODST crossover teaser. Trailers in general, for those curious, 30 has copyright music. Okay. Let me bring it up, but we'll mute it. They don't really say anything, do they? Do they say anything? Do I
rated M for mature?
Here, we'll just watch it. We'll just watch it. We'll just see what it is. There's a theory right now that the major order that's happening right now in the game is unbeatable. It's like 2.5 billion deaths or something like that with the railgun, and people can't. There's not enough people playing the game to do it because you have to do it against certain enemy types. And they say it's not going to be beatable, and they want you to fail so the automatons attack Super Earth. That way, it lines up to the Xbox launch that those people come in and then start helping fight the for the major order. We'll probably go back and play it once it comes out. If I do play it on Xbox, I got to start over. In an epic team space shooter, spread managed democracy across a live galaxy. It's like War of the World shit there, huh? They should just make an ODST game. Squad up. Dive in. Fight hard. Helldivers out now on PlayStation 5 and PC. And then do they show it? Oh, that's the tease, that's it? They don't show anything? That's just showing a new member coming in. Is there a different one? I thought they were going to show like the ODST. I thought they were going to show something. Oh, it plays the Halo ODST music. Gotcha. Okay. I was like, so as the last one comes in, they play the music. I gotcha. So hold on. Let me listen to that. Wouldn't it be funny if Xbox right now is making their own Helldivers competitor in the Halo universe? Sarge says, Dune has 6 months, too many games, not enough time. The next year has way too many games. Too busy people with. Dune is on the clock. Collect your money and move on. I mean, again, Battlefield 6, if it comes out, it's a success with Battle Royale and then the Portal. Then you have Fortnite and Minecraft and Roadblocks and Call of Duty and Battlefield. And you know what I mean? Like, the landscape gets slimmer and slimmer because more people are just playing these 6 games. Now it's maybe 7 games. Waterbear says, Halo ODS crossover. Does that mean that PlayStation players get that as well? Probably not. Who knows? August says, for democracy. Water says, what if you get to fight the Flood and the other Halo enemies when it drops on Xbox, and then the Master Chief appears to say, suit up, and gives you more Halo armor? I mean, that'd be funny. I don't know if they do it. I don't think they bring it in, but we'll see. Who knows? You know, if Halo goes on a PlayStation, then I guess you could have Halo Master Chief on both in Helldiver on both systems, right? Argus says, there will probably be a Halo ODST themed battle pass when things come on Xbox. Perhaps. Yeah, that could be it. They shouldn't make the ODST till they successfully launch a game on the Unreal Engine 5. Oh, I see what you're saying. Once they do the Unreal Engine 5 for the next Halo type of stuff, that's when you're saying they should do it. With the new engine. All right. Let's go to the next story. We have 2 videos we're going to watch, and we have this last story here for Battlefield. As the dust settles on Battlefield 6, the first beta weekend, devs confirmed they're looking into unexpectedly fast kill times in FPS. Now, what I think is funny, and I haven't read the article, people said that the kill TTK was too fast. And yet there's defenders coming out right now saying, no, it's the exact same. There's no fast TTK. But yet there is. But it might not be the TTK. It might be some sort of bug. But that's what's happening, right? If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay, so did you get down too quickly? Me too. Yeah, there was this weird thing happening, right? There was this weird thing happening when you would shoot your gun, shoot somebody. You were like, I'm unloading on them. And before they even pick up their gun to shoot at me, and I'm not killing them, and they 2-tap me, and I'm dead. Okay? It says, if you played Battlefield 6 beta this weekend, you may have noticed that it feels like you drop as soon as the enemy gets you in their sights. He says, I sure did. I know I'm older than I was back in Battlefield 3 and 4 were out, but I also can't be that bad, surely. Luckily for me, principal gaming designer Florence LeBahan is on the case. Okay? We're going to call him Florin. Okay, a video of Patrick Bateman, an American Psycho, entering the office with Battlefield music playing through his headphones on the caption. Me this morning on my way to EA's DICE office and read some Battlefield 6 open beta feedback and fixed some bugs. He says, this is me. This is the morning on the way back to EA office to read some Battlefield open beta. No, I'm not going to do that because it's probably copyright. Okay, he also tweets, if some of you have video examples of suspect super bullet, unexpectedly fast TTD, time to down, I've also recorded the Battlefield 6 open beta, send it my way. So not only do I have to play test your game, but now I have to send you video evidence of the game, even though you're capturing and seeing things on the back end. Got it. Okay. Players have quickly responded with their issues. One Twitch partner claims that they got instant KO'd after the game told them they got hit multiple times despite only seeing my body flopping with no hits or anything. There were also a few times I felt like I was getting down before I even had any hope of reacting, but maybe I'm just too used to the older games, much longer time to kill. Another player reckons that damage was also getting batched that also sent the client all at once, meaning that if they be in a shootout with another player, take cover, and then suddenly take damage as though the hits had registered before. This did happen. I know this for a fact because I was shooting, not getting hit, dove behind a thing, and then maybe about 10 seconds later, I died. And then it showed me the guy through the rock, and I was like, is he cheating? Am I getting desynced? Am I getting hit behind the rock after the fact? There was a lot of like iffy things going on. Okay. So it says if you got any clips that think you show some funny business, be sure to share them. Okay. In the meantime, check out. So they don't really talk about stuff, but 100%, I know this was happening because it happened multiple times. Now they could kind of deny it or whatever, but if I say it without watching someone else tell me about it, and then someone else says it, and then we watch Force Gaming say it, and then we watch other people, it has to be happening, right? If it happened to you guys and it happened to me, but we didn't coordinate this, it can't be like in our imagination, right? I was joking while we were playing. I was saying I put 99 bullets of my 100 bullets into this guy, and he's not dying, and he two-taps me, and I'm dead, and it wasn't even a headshot. So I'm a little confused by that, right? So obviously, it's happening. They don't know it's happening, hence why they're asking for video evidence, because they feel like that's fine. I think there's a lot of little small issues going on here. I think there's a lot of things. Hit detection's not happening, just like in Battlefield 5, just like in Battlefield 2042. TTD, okay, time to down, okay, is something's wrong. TTK seems a little too fast in occasions, and maybe that's part of this batching of bullets or whatever it is, where it's not registering them all. Perhaps little things here and there that the UI system. When this game comes out, I had a lot of fun. I just said, don't pre-order this game. Don't get it day one. Wait a little bit, because I do think the servers are going to overload. I think they're going to have a little bit of problems. And I have no proof of this, but every single battle, I have proof of this, but I don't know proof about Battlefield 6. Every game since Bad Company 2, 3, 4, Hardline, 1, 5, and 2042, that's 7 games, have had problems at launch. Okay? So 7 games over the last 15 years have had problems. So going into this, I'm assuming that Battlefield 6 is going to have the same problems. Now, is that my bad? Think that? No, that's theirs for showing us that the last 15 years and 7 games that there's a problem. So I'm going to assume that Battlefield 6 is going to have some major problems coming out. And there's going to be problems that they don't realize are happening, sort of like this, where they're like, well, if this is happening to you, let us know. Okay? There are also times when you get hit, you fly up in the air, a lot of little glitchiness things happening here and there. And I think the more people come in, the more that's going to happen. And people are like, well, it's a beta. Cool. You have 2 months until the end of that. Perhaps. Maybe they can fix it in 2 months, 7 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is. Perhaps. But I have more on my side telling me it's going to be bad when it comes out to them proving me that it's not. And if it comes out and it's fine, fantastic. But if it doesn't come out, then it's just same old, same old. Eclipse says, I think Dune is fine. They support Conan for like 6 years, and I'm pretty sure Dune has already made some more money than the Conan. It's not even the console yet. Well, I think the game is fine. I do believe, though, that Sarge has a little bit of a point of there's so many games, right? I mean, the landscape of Conan, when Conan came out compared to now, there's so many more games. So it's like they made their money, and they'll make a little bit more money when it comes out on consoles, but are people going to have time to play this game when other games are coming out? I don't know. The masses, I don't know. Waterbear says, I told you TTK is super fast. There's been videos that say that TTK is the exact same as Battlefield 4, but I would agree with you, Water. I played the game and I noticed that something's happening weird. Maybe it is this undetected and then batching the damage numbers, but who knows? Waterbear says, but as a support, it takes damn near 10 shots. Oh, it takes more than that. Salty says, are you going to reimburse me for my time to do your job. No, they're not. Remember 30? Tor headshots that also was also supposed to have been an insta-kill, but wasn't. That is also true. On stream, I got shot in the head. It said headshot, and someone came up and revived me. So that's interesting as well. Now, you're dead before you get hit behind the rock. It was a massive desync delays in my shotgun kills, and players literally jolting in front of my eyes as they move. Yeah, but it was really delayed, Salty. Like, it was super delayed. Where I'm shooting, right? I'm shooting. Ba, 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 ba. I see the light of the sniper. I dive behind the rock, and then I'm like, dive, 1,000, 1,000, boom, dead. And I'm like, and it shows like he shot me through the rock. So now it could be the desynced, or it could be a bot, not a bot, but aimbot is what I should say, or a person that's shooting through the walls, right? It could be all three, right? There's that clip going around of the VTuber that's cheating, and then said he wasn't cheating, and then he got banned because why? He was cheating. Now, there is desync happening in the game, but there's also hit detection. Some of the hit detection is not working correctly. And we do also know that the suppression fire is not working as well. Could be cheats, or his screen, you never were behind the rock. I guess, but that's a problem with the game, isn't it? They need to know that. They need to fix that. I mean, I wasn't the only person that it happened to. All right. Now we have a Bellular, I can't ever say this. Bellular news. Okay. Battlefield has never had this chance. Okay. So he's talking about Battlefield 6, talking about the inside of people, like inside the business itself, saying that these are not reachable numbers, which is the 100 million mark. Okay. Description down below if you want to listen to the video by yourself and you don't want to listen to me stopping and commenting on it. So here we go.
In case you haven't been paying attention, EA really has been having a bad time. And for them, everything is riding on Battlefield 6 actually being good. And this is a game with a real tall order. It's got to reunite a fractured fan base. It's got to...
Yeah, the fractured fan base, not only from Battlefield 5, but from 2042.
Recover from a previous dud of a release in 2042, and it's also got to do this small little thing of keeping EA's executives and investors happy, all at the same time, which is tough, but so far, there are some good numbers. 500,000 wish lists in just a few days, millions of views. It really...
You can't deny, right? Numbers don't lie, unless they're view bots, but you can't deny that the game is not being hyped up and successful. Lots and lots of people, millions and millions of people were playing this game this weekend.
Seems Battlefield 6's reveal has been perfect. But you know how things are in this channel. Behind the scenes, we've got reports that not all's great. Apparently developers are burning out, and one of the reasons why is insiders report that EA expects 100 million.
Competitors of COD and Fortnite were posting astonishing player and revenue numbers. EA executive leadership believed that Battlefield had its potential. A lofty player target was set for a glacier, 100 million players over a set period of time that includes post-launch. What is that set period of time? 100 million over 5 years? Is that 3 years? 4 years? 10 years? Like, what is that?
Million players, which is actually more than Battlefield has ever sold.
Combined. Sold. Combined. By an additional 18 million copies.
And I don't just mean any given Battlefield, I mean all of them, combined, ever.
Yep.
So it seems that something doesn't quite add up. There's another fun thing going on. Vercel's V0 and every no-code tool on Earth have empowered a whole generation of vibe coders. I'm sure you've heard the word. My editors are now making internal tools for our team that previously I need an engineer for. That's awesome, but there's a dragon. It's called Backend, and my sponsor, Boot.dev, exists to help you slay that dragon. And I'm not even being cheesy. Boot.dev is all themed and built as a role-playing game. It's made by a gamer for fellow gamers, and it fits my weaknesses. Coming from C#.
A game within the creating a game? Like, hey, you did the code well. Here's some reward.
Sharp game development and like my education and background, front end has always been kind of easy mode and intuitive, but wiring databases, doing auth, all that stuff feels like obscure wizardry. That's why I swear by Boot.dev. Lane and the team have baked the fun of an RPG, so quests, XP, a guild-style Discord that is...
I figured we have to let this play because we're watching his video, so he's sponsored, so you might as well watch it.
Super active into a curriculum that's laser focused on serious back-end chops. So I'm talking about things like actually understanding data structures, API, auth flows, algorithms, Docker, the whole works. You'll build and deploy a server client Pokedex, remake asteroids and Pygame. You'll even tackle job search preparation. Basically, as much fun as vibe coding can be, it does skip a bunch of steps that you really should take, and Boot absolutely sorts that. So no more tutorial hell, no more pricey bootcamp hustle stuff, just a structured path that turns all that vibe coding energy into viable engineering that you can actually depend on. And Boot keeps on adding features like, say, the searchable spellbook and constant new content drops. Like, for an example, the memory, because there's a no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Okay, so before the Battlefield 6 reveal, everyone kinda knew what was coming, at least bar one major feature. Leaks from Battlefield Labs and data mining showed us that it was basically going to be the Battlefield reset. Now, there is a strong contrast.
Is it a Battlefield reset? If it was a Battlefield reset, wouldn't you go back to 1942? Do you know what I mean? Why is it, okay, why is it that you have to, when you say reboot or go back to its boots on the ground, that you pick 3 and 4 and not 1942? Is that because of the sales number? Because the original series started with 1942. Yes, 3 and 4 sold the most. But to say rebooting it and then starting back at 3 is not rebooting it. Rebooting it would be going back to 1942.
Here. At the very same time, Call of Duty is getting just memed on for these cel-shaded American dad skins. You got Beavis and Butthead cosmetics.
I still find it funny that I said this, that this game has lost its identity, and everyone's like, nah, it's awesome. And now everyone, for some reason, is on board with it losing its identity.
What the hell is Call of Duty anymore? It's completely deviated into the lands of slop. So Nicki Minaj didn't pull it over the edge. It was Beavis and Butthead in cartoon form and American Dad that pulled it over the edge. Got it. For Battlefield, that's fairly good, right? Their big competitor is kind of on a downswing. And because of this, a feeling started to build. One where Warzone was losing its way, where Battlefield might be back. Of course, forget.
I like how he says might be back. Yeah, there's no denying Roadkill is a fun game, but it's just funny to me because Battlefield has always been this chaotic type of game, and all of a sudden, it's because people are shitting on Call of Duty, even though the same people that were shitting on Call of Duty praised it just weeks ago, months ago. And now they're like, oh my God, Battlefield.
The Battlefield has literally never outsold Call of Duty. No.
Lifetime unit sales generated by Call of Duty series worldwide as of October 2024. Okay, November of 2014, 175 million. 2016, 250 million. May of 2009, 300 million. Okay, 2021, 400 million. June 2022, 425 million. Okay, and October 2024, 500 million.
This was all about the vibes. But we still kind of...
Wow, 80% of the voters said that they were also more excited about Battlefield 6 than Black Ops 7. That's a massive landslide victory for Battlefield 6, especially considering the majority of the audience are COD fans or follow me for COD. You don't know that, though. I mean, obviously, he's doing it and people that are watching, but you don't know the people who... Does it say the people that follow you voted, or is it just anyone that was on the app? I don't know.
ignore 2042. It disappointed at launch, and sure, it was in a way a miracle. That might sound insane, but basically, that game was built from the bones of an extraction shooter in a single year, and by a company that by that stage had completely been torn to shreds with massive turnover. They then rebuilt the game over the 3 preceding years. It's substantially better now, but that does not change the deep and widely held perception of it being quite bad. And all
Krebsy says, I looked it up, and it took Warzone 13 months to hit 100 million players. And that's with a much more popular game than Battlefield, right?
Also, there's a fundamental problem. The community is fractured, right? It's split between 2 world wars, multiple modern games, console spin-offs, and wild tonal mismatches. What is Battlefield kind of depends on when you pick the franchise up.
No, that's wrong. Battlefield is exactly what Battlefield is. It doesn't matter if you're playing World War II. It doesn't matter playing in a futuristic war. It doesn't matter if you're playing in modern war. Battlefield is Battlefield. It's a battlefield, and you are a group of people on a battlefield fighting for points of interest in large-scale battles with vehicles and lots and lots of people. That's it. That's what Battlefield is. Team play. Team scale play.
Starred in the likes of Vietnam, 1942, and Battlefield 2. So I'm very old and crusty. For a lot of other people, it's bad company. So you've got a divided base, bad PR, eroded brand.
But that's not a divided base. Divided is not because someone likes the World War II, World War I, or the modern war, right? Those are just Battlefield fans. Now, one might appeal more to the other, but that's not a fractured base.
Brand value, which obviously meant the watchword on social media was no pre-orders. So the reveal happened. 500,000 Steam wishlists after the single-player trailer, and then top seller in Steam. So I suppose so much for the no pre-orders. People just wanted to...
Top trending Steam titles, week 30. Battlefield 6 launched and revealed trailer. New store page 3 days ago, quickly taking the lead. The official YouTube video attracted over 7.5 million views, and the store page drew nearly 500,000 wishlists over the weekend. Yeah, but wishlist doesn't mean they bought it. It just means they wishlisted it. It's not really a pre-order. I mean, obviously, people pre-ordered it.
Fork over money for a game they couldn't play because pre-orders are a thing that people do. Anyway, add to that millions of views in the multiplayer trailer and a humongous marketing campaign that undoubtedly cost them millions.
EA's all-in bet on Battlefield 6 includes multi-million dollar creator campaign, which we read a couple weeks ago. For many creators, Battlefield 6 revealed includes all expense-paid trip to Los Angeles, also a substantial amount of money, said sources. According to one source, who wished to remain anonymous due to the NDA, it was said that this is the most amount of money I've ever seen for a sponsored deal. Development costs have reportedly totaled around $400 million, with that budget is set to increase significantly with the publisher's advertising plans. So think about this for a second. Let's talk about this from a movie standpoint. If a movie costs $200 million and they put another $200 million, that's a $400 million budget. If you're putting $400 million into the game and you're putting a marketing deal and you're flying all these people and doing all this stuff and all these advertisements they're doing and all this pushing they're doing, let's say they're putting $600, $700 million, $800 million for this budget, right? That's a lot of sales. I mean, you have to sell 10 million just to make the 800 million back. Okay? You got to sell more than that to start making a profit. So, what is their goal? I said they're going to sell 10 to 12 million copies. But you got to sell way more than that to make your money back on a $700, $800 million game.
They had hundreds of creators broadcasting hype and praise. Do you know what? Did kind of work. But only because the game basically just looked like a...
Do you see what's happening there? Hold on a second.
It cost them millions. They had hundreds of creators broadcasting hype and praise. Do you know what? Did kind of work. But only because...
Okay, I just want to slowly go over, right? So he's got him right there. He's firing, misses. Right? He's over his head. He's missing him completely. And then right there was on his head, but it still doesn't hit him. right? He's like on him. He's going to die here. He misses all these shots. His body's on the ground. He's shooting at his body. He finally hits him there. Finally hits him there.
You know what? Did kind of work, but only because the game basically just looked like a scientific formula of exactly what fans would want. And in a way, we shouldn't be surprised. They had 4 studios, right? 4 components of the overarching Battlefield studios that basically just made kind of what the leaks promised. So essentially, for this game, think Battlefield 4 reimagined. Add to that Battlefield 5's movement, which
Yeah, it is Battlefield 5's movement, because Battlefield 5 had a more faster run speed and stuff like that.
I must say was incredible. The tone of Battlefield 1 and the
I think it does have the tone of Battlefield 1.
Environmental depth of Battlefield 1, add to that more explosions, and you basically have something for everyone. And I mean everyone. This is a game that cannot fail. And even before the reveal, they were managing expectations here. They were promising playlists.
Sarge says they paid COD streamers to play Battlefield. What do you think is happening? Of course all the COD players are watching Battlefield 6.
That were locking weapons to classes in the beta.
I hate the open classes. Lock needs to be locked. You can't have the classes that they had in open. It ruins it. You got to change the engineer with the 2 rockets, like the air and the ground. You got to change the assault guy a little bit. There's a lot of problems that people don't realize that are there until the game comes out, and it's too late by that point.
Actually then confirmed that for full launch. They were doing everything to make players happy. Obviously so. EA can't afford frustrated players. Not even one frustrated player, not when, reportedly, they need 100 million of them. So let's talk about if
Right. He's saying not even one person that could be frustrated, because they have to get 100 million players. That's a lot of players, man. It's a lot of players.
EA are sane and hinged. The 100 million number I've been talking about comes from Ars Technica's investigation into this, and honestly, it's kind of rough. Very much this omelet has involved some broken eggs. Basically, they have allegedly huge expectations, and those expectations have wreaked havoc. And I'll start with Ridgeline Games.
What did that say? What's wrong with AAA games? The developers of the next Battlefield has answers. All right.
Huge expectations, and those expectations have wreaked havoc. And I'll start with Ridgeline Games. It collapsed in 2024, and the cause was basically no oversight and impossible demands with not enough staff to pull off what they were tasked. And
in February 2024, Ridgeline was shuttered. Okay. Halo, Marcus Leto left the company, and the rest of the studios were also left to pick up the pieces. Sources in EA team outside of Ridgeline told me that they weren't properly check-ins, internal reviews of progress obscure of true state of the project until faithful review.
Apparently this all led to the single-player campaign.
Yeah, but this is... Were they working on the stuff?
Campaign falling behind its schedule. Meanwhile, well...
The closer to Ridgeline described a situation in which the team couldn't possibly complete the objectives as expected to hire and scale up from zero, while the other meetings also came milestones were established studios. With the resources already in place, they kept relocating funds, essentially staff months out of your budget. One person told me, and we were trying to adapt and do more with less.
Well, across everything, you just had long ass hours.
I heard several firsthand accounts of people working on the Glacier who also had take stress, mental, and exhaustion health of leave, ranging from a couple of weeks to several months. Hesitate to count of a large number of compared to other projects we've also been and have taken mental exhaustion leave here. Some as short as 2 weeks, also the month from a long of 8 months and 9. One staffer told me after saying that they also taken some of them time themselves. We read this like 2 weeks ago, right?
You've got DICE veterans
reportedly
a
month ago
under centralized EA.
Speaking with people who have currently work at DICE in Sweden, the tension between some of the studios and their new US-based leadership team has obvious. DICE had the pride of having started Battlefield and owned IP, but now the studio has just supported the American leadership, said that the person who worked there. Further, there's a lot of distrust and disbelief when it comes to joining operating towards numbers, that very few people believe it apart from the leadership.
You've got leadership that reportedly set an incredible target. To quote from the reporting, a lofty player target was set for Glacier, which is BF6's codename.
Glacier, I said Glacier.
100 million players over a set period of time that included post-launch. Yes.
Despite the big ambition of the new leadership team, EA executives, where few people working on the studio believe that a $100 million target was also achievable. Sources told me many of those who had worked on Battlefield for a long time at DICE Stockholm were particularly skeptical.
Players over a set period of time that included post-launch.
I wonder, and I'm not saying that EA is going to do this, regardless of what happens, metrics are metrics. If they share numbers, that's on them. They don't have to share. We can take an average of whatever on Steam and whatnot. But if they don't share the numbers, they can lie to you. They can tell you they hit 100 million people. Right? They could tell you that that's the hype up stuff. Just like they were doing for Superman when they tell you, oh, it's the #1 movie at the box office. So many people are seeing it. Look at the domestic box office. The best Superman film. And here we are just 5 weeks later, and Superman's not going to make money in the box office. So saying 100 million players, I mean, they could make that number up and say they reached it, even though they didn't.
Yes, that does seem kind of insane. And
they only have something like 82 million total sales. Total. Water.
According to this report, the budget of this game is over 400 million.
The project targeted the budget more than 400 million back in early 2023, which is already more than was the original plan for the start. However, major setbacks officially disrupted production, significantly increasing the cost. Multiple team members with knowledge of the project finances told me that the current projections are now well north of 400. It was 400 in 2023. We're in 2025.
$1 million. Which is obviously a shitload of money, but for EA, well, they want this to be a multi-billion-dollar tentpole. So let's add context to this. Apex Legends took 2 years to hit that 100 million player benchmark. Call of Duty Warzone was a
Warzone Road to 100. Over 100 million players globally, 28.8 billion matches. That's equivalent to 67.3 million major tennis tournament, based on 427 matches, major tennis tournaments. Deployed 26.4 billion parachutes. That also, oh, this is just telling you. So they had 100 million people
able to get that, but it took 13 months. And
13 months. There you go.
You know, it was
called chat as well.
Call of Duty, so it's absolutely humongous, and it also had COVID momentum. So even with all that, it still needed 13 months. As for Battlefield,
lifetime unit sales of Battlefield series worldwide as of October of 2024. Okay. In November of 2011, 50 million. 11 years later, a combined total of 88.7 million. Now, I just want to put this in perspective. Bad Company, I believe, 2, I'm going to have to look this up, I think came out in 2010. Yeah, March 1st, 2010. So this number up here, November of 2011, 50 million. Okay. Now, in 7 years, because, yeah, 8 years. 8 years, because 2003 is when Battlefield 1942 came out. From 2003 to 2011, they sold 50 million units. Okay. After 2011, that's when Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, 1, 5, and 2042 came out. They only sold an additional 38 million copies. That's in 11 years. Okay? 11 years. So 88.7 million. They're still 11 million short of 100 million total. Okay? They're still 11 million short of 100 million. Combined total of the entire franchise since 2003.
Well, Battlefield had momentum, so even with all that, it still needed 13 months. As for Battlefield, well, Battlefield has got 80 million lifetime sales. That's total. Well, yes, sales are not players, but still, 100 million, if true, is an absolutely wild target. It would almost require players from like loads of other shooters.
You would have to get every... You would have to get every other shooter person that loves the other shooters coming in to play this game, And then the people have to buy it first off, right? They have to buy it, unless they're talking Battle Royale numbers. 100 million people buying the game, not likely. So they have to be putting the Battle Royale numbers in there, and with the free-to-play. And that's just interactions. So what percent of 100 million do they think 1%, 10% of people are going to buy microtransactions from that? Is it 20% make 80%?
Just kind of abandon their games and all flock to Battlefield. And you know what? EA's Ace card, the trick up their sleeve, is a feature I've not talked about yet that may just be the main way that they could do that. But as far as ifs go, that's an absolutely humongous if. And yes, they are of course planning a free-to-play Battle Royale to help out. I mean, it's not like the Battle Royale component of Splitgate 2 did that any good. Though I would at least say the Battlefield gameplay format does feel like it fits Battle Royale a bit better. Now, understandably, this quote from EA staff speaking to Ars Technica feels appropriate just given how insane these targets seem to be. Quote, nothing in our market research or our...
Real quick, Salty says, if you're pushing for a number as big as that, I don't believe they have an intention of making another Battlefield anytime soon. They want this to be their only golden goose big gamble. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that, I mean, on average, a Battlefield came out every other year, every 2 years or so, right? Now, this one's 4 years removed from the last one. And if this does well, they're not going to make another Battlefield, I would say, for another 4 years minimum. And if this sucks, who knows if they're going to make anything. 100 million logged in didn't mean they stuck around. Sarge says, bro, this game is around $750 million with all the studios and the promotional stuff. This is why they're throwing everything into it. They have to now. They're in too deep now. I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm not buying it day one. I'm not buying it week one. I'm not buying it month one. If it works out and everything is good, I'll get it later. Mr. Luke even said, probably around Christmas time. Black Friday deal or whatever.
Our quality deliverables indicate that we would be anywhere near that. So that's EA kind of denying what's in the report. So what's the logic here? Well, maybe EA has got some very long-term view of what post-launch is, and 100 million.
That's true, Krebsy. And that's with COD launching the month after GTA 6, the month after, and GTA 6 months after the COD releasing Black Ops 2 Battle Royale within those 6 months also. Yeah, they're let's say this, right? They're creeping up on 100 million users in 6 months before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. If Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out in May, there's no way they're hitting 100 million. If Grand Theft Auto comes out next year, there's no way they're hitting 100 million. There's no way. This is not on old systems. It's only on the new systems. Okay? So you only have about 110 million consoles out there. Then you have the PCs out there. There's a lot of PCs, but the player base is not 3 billion players for Battlefield. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this. And I think ever coming out and saying this number is just ridiculous.
Million is something they're comfortable reaching in like 4 or 5 years. Or maybe they looked at Call of Duty Warzone and...
Hold on, let me rewind.
Here. Well, maybe EA has got some very long-term view of what post-launch is, and 100 million is something they're comfortable reaching in like 4 or 5 years. Or maybe they looked at Call of Duty Warzone...
Right. Is it 4 or 5 years? Is it 13 months like Call of Duty?
And thought, yeah, sure, we can do that. Or maybe they simply set targets based on development costs.
If it's development costs, well, then they're really screwed. Because they're like, oh yeah, we need 100 million to pay off the development costs.
Not realistic projections, and at a reported $400 million, holy shit, this one's pretty expensive. Now, that latter point would make sense in light of Dragon Age Veilguard.
Yeah.
It had famously unrealistic expectations, seemingly from how large its budget was, but obviously I think the money pit that game was is more a result of, the years and years of development and multiple restarts than it is the actual amount of money that went into the final game that people were able to buy and play. Now, of course, these sources may just be reporting old goals to Ars Technica. I do believe and imagine that they would stand behind their reporting and that they do believe that, look, what these sources are telling them is true. But still, things can change, sources can be out of date, but...
A lofty player target was set 100 million players over the set period of time that included post-launch, despite the big ambitions of the new leadership.
The one thing I've not talked about thus far in this video is the new feature, or humongously upgraded feature that could be Battlefield's single best chance at achieving anything near these.
Here's another question I have, right? Because he's about to bring up Portal. Now, we just saw Mind's Eye, right? Which was a game called Everywhere, which they changed to Mind's Eye, which was doing a program called Everywhere, which you can make your own content. And people looked at that and said, no. But now we're looking at Portal going, yes. I feel like this is the Drake meme where he's like, and then he's like, like that's what I feel like's happening right now. Where people are like, I don't really want a creative thing. And I think creative things work well in certain games and they don't work in other ones. I just said earlier that I think Portal could be big for them and that if people can make their own maps, large-scale maps, that would solve the problem of them not putting large maps in the game because other people would make large maps. But if you can't make those large maps in that creative mode or there's some sort of limit or whatever, then that kind of throws it out the door, okay? So this could be huge, and this could be the going forward what Battlefield is, which if you go back to years ago, probably when I was talking on GXG is the only place you could probably find it, okay? 4 years ago when 2042 came out and we were talking about Portal, I said this could be huge for them if they do it correctly, and they didn't do it correctly. So maybe now they're doing it correctly, and this could be huge for them. But here we are again, like 4 years ago. Is this going to be huge for them? I guess we'll have to find out.
Insane goals. To be honest, as a longtime Battlefield fan, I did not expect any crazy.
This doesn't appeal to me. When you show me this in a Battlefield game, this is, because I am a streamer, this is a let me play for one night, see what this stuff is, never touch it again. That's what this is, okay? If you make, like, this is Fall Guys right here, right? This is Fall Guys. I don't give a shit about playing Fall Guys inside a Battlefield. And I would assume that most people that liked Battlefield would play game modes like this because they want to work as a group, attacking a point and winning the match. And that's not what this is. Now, I understand that gaming is more than just curmudgeon old men, okay, that want to play games that they just want to be left alone, okay, and young people want to play the game, but I'm not letting my 10-year-old play this game. I don't let my 10-year-old play Call of Duty. He plays Fortnite, okay? But this is not a game to the younger audience. This is a game that's built for the average player that plays Battlefield is in their late 20s, okay? Early 30s. So now they're bringing Portal in, and it looks like they're going to be making it towards the Grand Theft Auto crowd or the Fall Guys crowd or, do you know what I mean? Which is just kind of weird because that's not what Battlefield is.
Crazy what else is, and that's because most of the multiplayer reveal had leaked. But there's one thing that didn't. Holy,
like if I can make this map and we make a large map and it's more Battlefield within the Portal, cool. This is not Battlefield.
Shit, it does appear to be pretty damn glaze-worthy. So, context. 2042 had something called Portal Mode. That was pretty cool. It allowed for custom game modes, and pretty in-depth ones. But BF6 is going way, way further. This is kind of insane. It is not just about changing settings in a server or making a custom game mode. It's actually full map customization, granular control over everything. That means custom UI. It means custom scripting. Yes, scripting, code. And it turns out it's actually built on Godot. Godot is an open source game engine. It's a big up-and-comer, especially with, our friends at Unity making things.
Yeah, because Unity fucked it up.
A little bit spicy over the last few years, hooking into Frostbite, but basically it's there as the front end. And if you want an example of what this actually allows for, I mean, shit, this brings me back to my StarCraft 2 days. We've got a map that's basically a sky platform climbing challenge that they showed off. Basically think, hey,
did YouTube just die? I think it did. All right, we're good.
Halo's Forge mode, but quite massively. And the value here can really multiply fast. As an example, the press saw new modes that included top-down shooters. There's apparently arcade puzzle games. There are
you see what I'm saying? Again, cool from a gaming standpoint, not cool for in a Battlefield. And I know, I already established this. I'm the gatekeeper, right? I am the almighty powerful gatekeeper of Battlefield, okay? This is not Battlefield. This is Battlefield. This is not Battlefield. This is not Battlefield.
Quite massively. And the value here can really multiply fast. As an example, the press saw new modes that included top-down shooters. There's apparently arcade puzzle games. There are horde modes with custom UI. And most importantly,
there's fucking tanks flying there.
Apparently arcade puzzle games. There are horde modes with
There's tanks flying.
Custom UI. And most importantly, verified modes. Now, those verified modes would grant XP and progression. For me, that would be a really big thing. As fun as UGC stuff can be, it's user-generated content, if it doesn't hook into the core, numbers and things that they want your monkey brain to be very happy about, as you make your numbers go up, then for a lot of people, it's just a random side distraction. Yeah, we could talk about the over-justification.
Yeah, but how much? There's so much here, right? Let's just put it this. Let's just use this as an example, right? How many people are watching right now? 28 people. Okay, so 28 people. We all play Battlefield Portal. We all you know what? I'm going to make a map, right? Each and every single one of us makes a map. And none of them are actual Battlefield map design. We're making obstacle courses. We're making racetracks with tanks. We're doing parachute stuff. That's 28 games, maps that we've now put onto the portal, okay, that is not Battlefield. Now multiply that by thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people. How do they plan on filtering this? How do they plan on curating this in a way where people can actually find the non-shit things? Right? How much time now when you play Battlefield, you come into the game, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go into Portal and try to find an actual good map instead of just flipping through like Netflix where you're like, I'm going to watch a movie. 45 minutes later, you're still not watching a movie and you're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to watch a movie. Right? This is my concern because just in Battlefield right now, when there was server browsers, you're like, server browser, you go through, you're trying to figure out, you're like, there's almost a full game there. There's 4 of us, can't get in. We're going to the thing. It might take 5 minutes, it might take 10 minutes. But now you're doing this, but with thousands and thousands of Portal maps, right? Or tens of thousands of things. Oh, you could play Battlefield, but top down. You could play Battlefield, but with carts. You could play Battlefield with tank racing. It loses the identity of what Battlefield is. And Battlefield is no longer Battlefield. It's like what Tim the Tapman said yesterday, Fortnite creative. Even though Fortnite didn't come up with creative. Plenty of other games came out before it. But now everyone knows about Fortnite creative. Well, now it's Battlefield. So now Battlefield is creating this world of non-Battlefield game modes. Congratulations. They could have literally just made a separate game. Completely separate game. At least Mind's Eye made a separate game than Everywhere. Mind's Eye was supposed to be the Trojan horse to get you into Everywhere. Everywhere is the standalone thing to make everything. And Mind's Eye was created by the thing that they used inside, which is Everywhere. This is, you're playing Battlefield, and Battlefield is no longer Battlefield.
Effect and why we should really just be playing games for the fun of playing games, but look, the reality is that matters. That they're actually seeing that ahead of time is
that's exactly right. Hold on a second.
Very happy about, as you make your numbers go up, then for a lot of people it's just a random side distraction. Yeah, we could talk about the over-justification effect and why we should really just be playing games for the fun of playing games, but
yeah, fun to play games. I want to play a game, but I also want my time to be respected. And if I have to search for 40 minutes on what is a good Portal game mode or a match, that's not respecting my time.
Look, the reality is that matters. That they're actually seeing that ahead of time is pretty good, especially because the inclusion of XP and progression is something that 2042 just went back and forth on, but for Battlefield 6, they've actually got a day one plan. So, going back to the idea of this is de-risked and there's truly something for everyone, yeah, holy shit. I mean, clans can finally get the 24/7 Metro servers of their dreams. If you're a content creator, you can build some mini games, but I've got to stop for a second.
Mini games.
Because we all know who's really important, and that is, of course, the shareholders and their value. So let's talk about that, because what Battlefield Studios gets is audience-generated content, the big industry buzzword.
That's right. As Sarjo said, once again, bro, they want us to make content. They don't want to be bothered. They want to sell you a game that you make the content for, and then they don't pay you for it.
Of the day, and that brings me back to one of my favorite men on earth, Andrew Wilson, the
Android Wilson.
Interesting CEO man of Electronic Arts. One of my favorite quotes from him is he called future game content future innovation creativity, or something like that. I've never seen a man with such an ability for just pure CEO waffle, but this is kind of relevant. So at an investor call before the showcase, he said this: "We've been investing more behind this Battlefield than any Battlefield product before it. And really the big reason for that is this isn't just a product. We're really building out Battlefield as a platform."
Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't read this when he said this. Battlefield is a platform.
Now, I assumed that purely just meant skins and microtransactions. And obviously it does, but that's kind of indirect. You see, back in 2022, during Battlefield 6 planning, Wilson told investors something key: that 20% of EA gamers make in-game content.
There you go. 20% of the population makes 80% of the microtransactions, and 20% of EA gamers already create content for its games, and 50% of the player base uses player-made content. Okay, so now let's take that number. Let's take the 20%. Let's say 10 million people buy this game day one, and 20% of EA gamers make content. Well, that's a whole lot of Portal maps to go through, isn't it now? Right? And that's just if 20% each take the time to make one map. Now let's say 20% make 5 maps each, and you have to go through each one of those to see if it's good or not. That's a lot of time wasted inside trying to find a good map, let alone find a good map that you like to put in your save and your favorites. And that's constantly going up because millions of people will be making content for this, and it'll be such a clusterfuck to get looked through this.
That's kind of shocking stat to me. I wouldn't have thought that was true, but anyway, apparently 50% of people engage with that content. Maybe The Sims is what drives those numbers, but anyway, then he dropped this, quote, "Minutes engaged and money spent correlates on an almost 1-to-1 basis. So whether we create the content..."
Minutes engaged and money spent almost a 1-to-1 basis, Wilson said. So whether they create the content or our community creates the content, provided its high quality, provided is engaging, represents an extraordinary opportunity for us.
Or our community creates the content, provided it's high quality, provided it's engaging, it represents an extraordinary opportunity for us. So, in theory, right, creator tools keep audiences engaged, and that means that EA wouldn't need to go as grotesque or perhaps short-termist with their monetization as some other games. Obviously, they still might, because Andrew Wilson did say extraordinary opportunity. And
yeah, what does that mean? They're not going to do this, or are they? See, once they make the sales, that's it. They made the thing. They can do what they want now. They've made the money, and it doesn't just affect that game. It affects it ripple effects through the years of what they can do and the way they go.
And I, of course, don't trust him. But still, with that...
Because if 20% makes 80%, it doesn't matter what the other 80% care about, because the 20% funded the next future. So it doesn't matter if the 80% of the population is mad and doesn't play the game. One, they already sold it to that market of the 80% of the people. And the 20% of the people that make 80% of the money for the company, they go, well, it doesn't matter. We got their money, and now we got these guys' money, and we can just do what we want. And this is what you wanted. more people wanted more of this, so this is what you get. And this is exactly what happened to Call of Duty. Call of Duty went down the rabbit hole, became Fortnite, literally became Fortnite for adults. You go from Fortnite to Call of Duty, okay? And this is what you've ended up with. So much so that people are saying they hate Call of Duty now so they can go play Battlefield, so they can make Battlefield the next Call of Duty.
Context in mind, I think we can understand why they have put so much money, reportedly 400 million, into getting all of this right. Bringing this all together, we've discussed EA's pillar-based business model before in this channel. You, of course, on the sports side have got FIFA, now EA Sports FC, which is a bit of a clunky name, but you got that and Madden over on the EA Sports side of the business. Over in EA Entertainment, you've got The Sims. Battlefield was once a pillar, but EA kind of did see to that, didn't they? And I suppose big BioWare games were also a pillar, but EA also saw to that. But anyway, what then happened is competing demands and executive decisions weakened Battlefield as a pillar and weakened a lot of other things with EA Entertainment. What they need then is for Battlefield to be back as a pillar in a way where it's actually useful to their business and, you know, not just a video game that we could buy, play, and enjoy. Because that would be silly, wouldn't it? The industry's fine. Now, whenever they're investing $400 million in a platform, they do expect returns.
Of course.
In many ways, EA is a company that would only know how to build big. So Portal and Battle Passes create their revenue stream.
The Portal Battle Pass, the whatever they're going to have, the microtransactions are going to be huge in this game. Not just skins for your soldiers and your weapons, but as Ron Slusher said, maybe Portal mods, paid Portal mods, right? Battle passes, season passes, portal passes, whatever.
But core development is what will define success here. That is the developers who work for years and years trying to give players exactly what they want. If you're an investor type, if you're in the market...
Because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if I buy this game and I only play it for the campaign and for the multiplayer, that's still there, right? That's still there. So from the base level, you're looking at it going, yeah, my Battlefield's still there. I don't care about this Battle Royale. I don't care about the Portal, right? You can just say, I'm playing this. And that's probably what most people are going to do, right? They're going to be like, I don't care. I'm just going to play this. But the issue now comes from that, where, yeah, I don't care. I'm just going to sit and play inside my maps that I like to play because the beta was awesome, right? Because the most general casual player is going to be like, this is amazing. I love it. They play the game. They're like, I don't care about the Battle Royale. I don't care about the Portal. But then 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the road, all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're not going to support more maps coming into Battlefield because the money's coming from Battle Royale. The money's coming from Portal. Why would they spend money? Because they're making all the money, right? They're doing the salute, okay? They're making all the money now. So why would they pay people to make maps in the Battlefield where they can just make other people that are already making maps? Because there'll be people that make maps. You're like, you're really good at making maps. You're officially a EA ambassador making Portal maps, right? And now they're making the maps. And they're not paying the actual people. They pay them in points and whatever else they can do. Free t-shirt or whatever else, right? And it starts to hurt the brand of what Battlefield is. But Andrew Wilson said Battlefield is no longer a brand, it's a platform. So the people that paid for Battlefield think they're going to get a Battlefield game, but they're not really getting a Battlefield game. It's Battlefield only by name.
You're thinking about UGC. You're thinking about time spent on brand and all of these fun, waffly things. But if you're playing the game, you care about the game. And you know what? It seems the developers have actually delivered on the game side of things. A lot of ex-veterans who left in the tumultuous times before Battlefield 6 apparently came back. And overall, it does seem this is a team that has delivered. And I'm saying that based on reactions to the beta. So the developers delivered, regardless of the business demands.
See, I played Battlefield 1 last night. 9 years later, and guess what? Battlefield 1 is still Battlefield 1. Battlefield 6 is not Battlefield at all before it even comes out. It's everything but Battlefield.
And if Ars Technica's reporting is anything to go by, well, it may not all be okay. I desperately hope it is. I want Battlefield to be a mainstay, and good lord, Call of Duty needs to be smacked about. It is an absolute embarrassment.
This right here.
Good Lord, Call of Duty needs to be smacked about. It is.
This right here should say everything. That's the picture. That's the picture of. It's a meme, right? This is what Call of Duty is now. This is what Call of Duty is now.
It is an absolute embarrassment to games as a medium. Just the way it's developed, the shameless microtransactions, and just the point where, as someone who genuinely enjoys Call of Duty, who bought Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and was...
See? He bought Black Ops 6, but this is what Black Ops 6 is. Now, you guys think I'm crazy, but I said months and months ago that they're going to sell you a thing where you don't have to see this. Make the problem, sell the solution. They're going to make it where you can purchase or shut down something where you don't see the other content or the other content that's in the game. So if you don't want to see American Dad and Beavis and Butthead on your screen, you pay for the filter to make it look like Call of Duty again. That's coming, my friends. That's coming.
Happy with his goddamn purchase. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near it because, you know what? In my Call of Duty, I don't want to see Nicki Minaj knifing American Dad with some...
Listen to what he just said. Listen to what he just said.
Enjoys Call of Duty, who bought Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and was happy with his goddamn purchase. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near it because, you know what? In my Call of Duty, I don't want to see Nicki Minaj knifing American Dad with some Zoomer, I don't know, bizarre knife thing that's probably also a branded product, because that's hell, and I don't want to live there. So
he bought it. None of this stuff was in the game when he bought it, but now it's there, and he's like, I don't want to play it because I don't want to see that stuff in my game.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully, not for the sake of EA, but hopefully for the sake of the industry, we get some proper competition in the shooter space. And I suppose since we live in a very cyclical world, well, Call of Duty,
You had competition in the space for the last 20 years. People chose to buy Call of Duty. They didn't choose to buy Battlefield. The majority spoke. They wanted Call of Duty. There was competition. There has been competition.
Reached its apex. It's sort of, it's due in the calendar for Call of Duty to have its dramatic fall. And maybe it's finally time for Battlefield to do the whole underdog thing. The $400 million underdog, because this is a weird-ass industry. Okay, are you interested in this? Gotta be real with you. I am. I love Battlefield, and I at least don't think we'll be getting American Dad, Homelander.
You would hope. But money talks and bullshit walks. So if EA decides that they're like, hey, we got to do something, not many people are buying microtransactions. Well, let's do what Call of Duty did. They put Beavis and Butthead in. Well, let's not go that route. Let's go with a more realistic route. Let's put Rambo in there. Let's put... Obviously, they have that as well in Call of Duty. But you know what I'm saying? More realistic type of carries.
Space Marines, Helldivers, or just any other weird shit in Battlefield. At least for now, because, as I said, it's cyclical. And if Battlefield 6 is the success EA hopes it'll be, then maybe in 6 years it will turn into Fortnite-ified slop. So, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I'll see you in the next one if you want another fun video, like the thing that's about to replace the little box that I'm currently trapped in.
Okay. So there is Bellular News. The link's in the description down below. Make sure you give it a like. Go check out his video. Go check out his channel. Man, I don't know. All right. We're going to watch one more video. It's Levelcap Gaming. It came out 17 hours ago. The reason we're watching it is at the end of the show. So if you want to watch this, you would have to basically sit here for the 2.5 hours. I'm not going to post this after. Because it's such a new video. It'll be if I do post this at all, like I did with the Tim the Tap Man, it would be days later. So links in the description down below. Levelcap. Robert Jones posted this in the Discord. I haven't watched it, so we're gonna watch Levelcap giving his thoughts. He's a big FPS guy, big Battlefield guy. So let's see what he has to say. Let's see if it aligns with some of your thoughts if you played the beta this weekend.
The weekend has come to an end, and it's pretty safe to say it was a huge success. Over 500,000 concurrent players on Steam alone.
Now, I have a question. Do you guys, as gamers, care if you really like a game, right? If you really like a game, do you care that there's big numbers or small numbers? You're going to play the game regardless. Does it make you feel better that there's more people in that game because you think it's going to make the game better for you? Or do you really don't care?
Not only did BF6 blow past its own Steam record, but it also beat the Call of Duty Steam record. And now that I've had some time with the beta and the oh my god this doesn't suck factor has worn off a bit, I can see the rough spots a little.
His thing is really loud. Hold on one second. We're gonna lower that just a little bit.
Little more clearly. And without question, the worst thing about Battlefield 6 is... oh, I'll save that for a little later in the video. Today's video is going to be a light review of the BF6 beta, but be prepared, this video isn't going to be blanket praise. Battlefield 6 is clearly on the path to be a big success, but I want it to be as good as it possibly can be, and some of the rough areas are honestly a bit surprising to me. Alright, let's start off with a little bit of a TLDR. The Battlefield 6 beta is great. It feels like a blast from the past. The gunfights are fantastic. I'm enjoying trying...
Right. Let's get you in. Pre-order, get the game in, and then we'll sell you the portal and the Battle Royale later. Even though Battle Royale's free, with the cosmetics and battle passes and whatnot.
All the different weapons and the different builds. It's absolutely rekindled my original joy for the franchise and making me feel things that I haven't felt since playing Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Just locked into some of these amazing and intense gunfights that only those games could provide. I finally get to do that again in a modern title. It also brings some awesome new features like dragging players and via...
How come he's not getting the feed like I was on my game? Like when I would kill somebody, it would show me the feed that I was hitting people.
Effects with explosions and dust and debris that are just on another level. But it's also fumbling in some areas that feel all too familiar for this studio. Class design is a mess when it really...
yeah, the class design is a mess.
It doesn't have to be. And player spotting and visibility...
okay, player spotting is ridiculous. Okay, so last night I'm playing Battlefield 1, and when you're holding the controller, okay, all you have to do is press the RB button, right? RB. When you're playing this game, you have to have your hand on the left bumper, and if you hold it, your wheel comes up, but if you tap it, it's the thing, but you have to do like the claw maneuver. I don't know how many of you guys play with your trigger finger as the thing pushing the button, and how many of you play with your middle finger as the trigger. If you play with your middle finger as a trigger, then it's not a problem. Or if you have an Elite controller, you can map it to the bottom of the thing, right? But for me, playing the thing and then moving my finger from holding zoom in with my trigger finger, my pointer finger, now I got to go to my middle finger to put the trigger in, but then I have to use this finger to push the... It's stupid. Why are we changing stuff from the other games? RB has always been the spotting. I know I could change it in the control systems, but why isn't it just a standard thing?
Is all over the place. Let's dive a bit deeper. Now, right off the bat, I gotta say the performance and stability of BF6 has been incredible for me. I know some people have had issues, but overall, I think we're looking at one of the best performing betas that we have seen from a Battlefield game, period. Even Battlefield 3, one of my favorite games in the series, was a hot mess of bugs and performance issues during the alpha and beta phase. BF6's beta feels extremely close to a launch candidate, and that is so refreshing for this studio. The frame rate that I'm able to hit at 4K resolution and ultra graphics is insane, around 200 FPS for a modern Battlefield game at launch, or before launch. This is not something I was expecting, and that's not even with the...
See, that's funny though. It's something I wasn't expecting. Yeah, because every single one of their Battlefield games came out and it was crap when it launched. You're like, oh my god, this is actually good. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting a disaster.
any of the hot frame gen tech either. Now graphically, Battlefield 6 looks good on a technical level. The VFX artists, in my opinion, are doing a lot of the heavy lifting here with incredible looking particle effects. Long-lasting smoke and debris literally changes the visibility of a battlefield mid-firefight, and it's extremely
They did that in other games as well. Again.
Cool. I've been wanting games to do this more, but volumetric smoke and debris is one of the
fire
most
on the ground's a nice touch.
expensive things you can do, and somehow DICE has figured out how to do it and keep the frame rates up. It looks fantastic. Now that said, when it comes to the visual presentation and map design, the game just isn't visually stunning in ways that I feel Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 achieved. Heck, even 2042 had some incredible looking maps and vistas. It feels like the art direction
I mean, Battlefield 3 is what, 13 years old?
has swung way back towards Battlefield 3, which I personally feel is a bit of a downgrade. Take the new Liberation Peak map as an example. Battlefield 6's Mountaintop Village battle is one of the more whelming maps that I've seen. Putting it next to other Battlefield maps that had to deal with fighting amongst mountaintops, like say the gorgeous white snow and colorful village of Narvik from Battlefield 5, or
That was a good map. That was a good map.
Battlefield 1's grassy Monte Grappa and deep
Played that last night. Fantastic.
blue skies, Liberation Peak feels like a bland jumble of muted colors by comparison. It feels like the entire game has been run through a desaturation filter.
It does. I never even brought this up. I didn't actually realize it, right? Last night, man, I had a blast playing Battlefield 1. We might play that again tonight.
In fact, that's exactly what they do with these types of games. They do heavy color grading, and that's what Battlefield 3 did. Heavy color grading with a blue tint, and BF6 seems to be following a little too closely in its footsteps, and thus the visuals, despite being a technical upgrade in some
He color corrected it. He color corrected it.
ways, also makes me feel like we're just moving
Look at this. Dude, that looks so much better.
backwards artistically. And the game has yet to give me a single wow moment. Outside of enjoying some of the amazing explosions and smoke effects, pretty much every other Battlefield game I've played over the last decade has had these moments where you just walk out and are amazed by the visuals, and BF6 just hasn't been able to achieve that for me. And I think a lot of that is simply down to the art direction, which I personally just don't jive with. Now, when it comes to the moment-to-moment gameplay, whether it's the gunplay or vehicle gameplay, I've been overall very impressed. Things feel far more dialed in and fun right off the bat compared to past Battlefield betas.
A lot of people are comparing to 2042, and they forget how the other ones came out in the past. Okay? People forget what happened 10 years ago, what happened 12 years ago. People forget what happened 4 years ago.
It's not perfect. There's definitely some weird TTK damage dumping that doesn't make sense, and I think DICE is aware of this. And some guns are clearly
No, but people told you you're crazy. It's not happening.
worse than others and need some balance, but for a starting place, things feel pretty good. And there's no fun.
Is this a starting place, though? The game comes out in 7 weeks. Is this a starting place?
Fundamental design
I feel like they're 6 months behind.
problems like I would argue Battlefield 1 had that required a huge amount of overhauling throughout the course of the game's life cycle to get things back into a good place. I think we're starting with a good foundation this time around that we can just build on rather than completely overhaul. Weapons are fun. They change significantly with upgrades and feel malleable enough to nudge them towards your preferred set of features. Each weapon category feels more or less distinct, perhaps not as drastic as Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5's weapon categories, but for a modern shooter, I think DICE has done a really good job with differentiating the
That's exactly right, Salty. That's exactly right. The foundation's not good for a game coming out. The foundation should already be dialed in. And this is a beta. This is coming out in 7 weeks. It needs 6 months. It probably should have launched in early next year, but everyone's like, it's so good. And they'll be happy when it comes out, and then they have to make the fixes and changes for the next 6 months.
weapons as much as they can. I've also really enjoyed the armored gameplay, which I see seems to be one of the more debated topics. The controls are a little clunky between first and third person aiming, and I haven't quite gotten the sensitivity to where I like it, but it feels much more in line with the Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 armor balance. Tanks and APCs are very good, but they can also die in a matter
Look how fast that turret's turning.
of seconds if you
Look at that again.
armor balance. Tanks and APCs are
A tank does not move like that. When you play on controller, your tank does not do like your gun movement. It's a tank. It has to... like, what are we talking about?
very good, but they can also die in a matter of seconds if you just push too far with them. If you're used to Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5 armor balance, this is a stark contrast, but one that feels more fitting for a modern game. Still, I have a feeling we're going to be dealing with the balance of a lot more anti-armor weapons once the full game launches, plus vehicle upgrades that'll have stuff like active defense systems that'll block incoming rockets. So it's really hard to give too much feedback on the armor versus infantry gameplay at this point, since we just don't have all the tools that we're going to have. Now, player visibility, 3D spotting, and the light-dark transitions are not in a good place for Battlefield 6. This has been an
The light dark stuff is the exact same in Battlefield 1, at least I thought.
area of balance that the Battlefield series began to struggle with as its visuals got better and better over the years. More tools and features were needed to allow for quick target acquisition in these cluttered, highly realistic looking environments. Battlefield 6 has a lot of monochromatic levels and soldiers that blend in. Combined with its new amazing VFX and smoke everywhere, seeing enemies can be extremely challenging.
Yeah, it's a battle. Almost like a battlefield.
To make it easier, DICE has added what I would call an extremely...
Guys, before we have this war, can you guys put on brighter colors? And the rule is you can't hide in the bushes. Oh, and by the way, you can't lay down in the dirt because you blend in. It's really hard to see you. Can you stand up? Can you stand up? And before you fire at me, make sure the building's all the way down, the dust clears before you fire at me, because it's not fair. I can't see you through the cloud.
Aggressive 3D spotting system where if you're just kind of looking close to where an enemy might be, they'll get a little diamond icon over their head showing you exactly where they are, even if you can't see them. So instead of needing to use your eyes to find the enemy, you just shoot at the red marker. We used to call this Triangle Shooter 3000 back in the days of BF3 and BF4. Those games had amazing visuals, and all we did was just look for the triangles to shoot.
That's how I play Battlefield 1. Spotting them and shooting. There's the spawn, shoot below that. That's why I get my long shots that I do with the no scopes.
The only difference now is that those triangles are now diamonds. DICE still hasn't found a great solution to the visibility problem, and in some ways has actually made it even worse. So they've just added a super aggressive spotting system, which breaks a lot of the things that I like about scanning an environment for enemies with my own eyes, and it also is extremely unfair to players who like to try and blend in with the environment, move sneakily, slowly. They're totally screwed in this situation. Hidden in a bush, it doesn't matter. Your enemies will see a big red diamond marking your spot.
I do agree that if you can't see them and you're putting the spot, it shouldn't show you. But if their heads are popping up and you can see them, you know what I mean? Like yesterday when I was playing Battlefield 1, from a distance, I could see the guy running behind the thing. I spot him before he gets to the spot. And then if I can't see him, I'm hitting the button. And then all of a sudden I see him spot. I'm like, oh, he's behind that rock, right? I'm spotting them because you can see them. Now, obviously, if they're in a bush and you can't see them, but the computer's letting you see them because you're spotting them, they're like, oh, yeah, there's a guy behind the bush. That's a little weird, right?
Even if they can't see you, as I've shot plenty of players that I had no idea were there, but the game was basically just saying, hey, there's a guy.
Yeah, but you're not showing any kind of examples, to be fair.
Guy right here in this bush, in this window, where
Yeah, but hold on a second.
idea were there, but the game was basically just saying, hey, there's a guy right here in this bush.
But you saw that guy. Like, you can see that guy. You see him right there.
In this bush, in this window, wherever. Now, to make matters worse, Battlefield 6 has some pretty bad light-dark transitions. This is basically an automatic exposure control that, for whatever reason, most AAA games these days think we need it for your immersion, despite games existing and working perfectly fine before we had auto exposure control everywhere.
But this is what happens. This is what happens, though. Like, go right now. Go outside your house if it's super bright outside and it's darker in your house, and go outside. Your eyes have to adjust. That's what happens. Right? And I guess someone could be like, well, it's too realistic. But that's the point of the immersion, right? It's part of the gameplay. Be like, well, I'm transitioning from a building to outside. There could be guys out there in the bushes and stuff, and you have to play war. You can't just run out into a field, right? It's part of it. It's a game. This shit's stupid. What's stupid? Putting the inside outside exposure, but that's what it is. They're trying to make it immersive. That's what it is. If I don't want to play a racing game that's realistic, then don't buy a realistic car game, right? Motorsports is different than Forza Horizon. One's more arcadey, one's more realistic. Gran Turismo is more realistic than that. Battlefield is not like super immersive like an Arma, but at the same time, it's trying to make the Battlefield feel like a Battlefield. It's in the fucking title.
If you were able to turn it off, it would give you a huge advantage of being able to see into dark areas while in a light environment.
Oh, you mean like PC players do, where they turn the graphics all the way down so you can see people in a bush? You mean that?
Environment.
So it's realistic for tanks to have unlimited ammo? Well, they used to have it where you had to take the tank, you had a much, well, at least Hell Let Loose does this, because Hell Let Loose is a much more realistic thing. You run out of ammo and you have to go back and reload. There was battlefields where you had to, like, actual areas that you had to run out of bullets and you would have to go to a supply depot to get it more ammo. There's immersion and then there's too much immersion. Okay, so let's play this game. Let's play this game of immersion. So then we don't need fully destructible environment, because you don't really need that, because it just gets in the way of me shooting at the guy behind the dust, right? I also don't want splash damage, because that's not realistic either, right? Like, or unrealistic. So we gotta, like, pick and choose what you guys want. If you want a game that has the immersion, this is what the game is. If you don't want the immersion, then go play an arcade shooter.
Sure, auto exposure control kind of mimics reality, but it's also not great for gameplay. And especially in a game where there's many...
But everyone has to deal with it. Everybody has to deal with it. It's not just a certain amount of players to have to deal with the unfairness of going from indoors to outdoors. That is part of the gameplay.
Dark windows to get shot from, not being able to see enemies in those windows kind of sucks. So in the...
That's the advantage of being indoors. One, the height. Two, dark areas, because there's no light in there, because there's not light shining in there. Hence why you would throw a grenade inside a window, inside a fucking front door, knock out the wall. This is part of the gameplay.
In this situation, DICE has crafted an experience that's visually very chaotic and cluttered, and they've tried to fix it by giving players aggressive auto spotting. The good news is that this can be fixed. They've shown that they've been able to dial it in much better with Battlefield 5. But it took a long time for them to do that, and I'm not that hopeful for a fast, easy improvement here. This issue is a very complex one that involves adjusting exposure settings, all the logic in how auto spotting works, which I'm sure is extremely complex.
I agree with the auto spotting. I agree. That can get tuned down, because if you can't see them with your actual eye, then you shouldn't be able to hit the button and spot them. If their head's popping up and you hit the thing and you see them, then yeah, I agree with that.
And maybe even tweaking soldier shaders like they did with Battlefield 5 to make them pop out from their environments a little bit more. Now let's talk about some of the new features that are extremely good. Weapon customization and stats. It is really fun swapping out weapon parts and
I don't like that they actually, one of the best parts about Battlefield 2042 was the quick swap of actual like gear. You would hold a D-pad and then you would pop up left or right, up and down, right? And you could swap out your scopes or whatnot real fast, which was fantastic. Probably one of the best features they put in 2042. Well, that's gone in Battlefield 6.
seeing the stats change, and also putting a point value to different weapon parts is going to give DICE a lot more freedom and control over how they want to make attachments. If an attachment feels overpowered, make it cost a lot more so you can't put a lot of other good attachments on. It's a much easier system to balance, and it gives players a lot of kind of Lego building fun as they craft their weapon. Also, being able to see the specific stat numbers as you change and swap out parts like muzzle velocity, reload times, etc. It's just so refreshing to be able to understand what you're doing to your weapon in-game rather than having to exit out and watch
a shooting range is actually really nice to have.
Watch a YouTube video or go to a SimThick web.
Now, if they made this for a practice area, if you have a practice area for your weapons to see how much damage they've done, it would be nice if they put a practice area in for helicopters and jet fights.
Site to look at the stats. And I'll still probably look at some of the weapons.
But I guess there's Portal for that. You can just make a map and fly around and get to know your helicopter better.
Stat sites to go a bit deeper at some point, but this is a hell of an upgrade compared to past games where you...
Oh, how unrealistic.
To go a bit deeper at some point, but this is a...
There's a branch there.
Hell of an
just walked right through it. Oh, the realism, immersive breaking.
Compared to past games where you kind of just had to guess what might be good. Now, soldier dragging is one of the best new features in the game. It just...
should have been the game 10 years ago. Sorry, 7 years ago with Battlefield 5 and 2042.
Works, and it works well. I don't really have any feedback for how it should work differently.
No, it works exactly how it should work. The only other thing I think they could add, maybe they'll do it on the next Battlefield if there is one, where maybe the guy's in a really bad area, instead of dragging him, you can pick him up, put him on your shoulders, and carry him. You can do that in Fortnite.
Seems to have tested the crap out of it. It is so useful in a firefight, dragging somebody out of the line of fire so that they don't wake up to a hail of bullets. It seems like such a simple feature, but I know the under-the-hood complexity of this system must be anything but simple. It's truly a game changer, and I hope DICE gives themselves a good pat on the back for this one. I personally didn't think that they could do a good dragging feature. I thought it would be really clunky or just generally useless, but I'm happy to have been proven wrong. All right, it's time to talk about what I think Battlefield 6's worst aspect is. Want to take a guess? It's their class design and open weapon system. DICE seems to have abandoned all the class design improvements that the studio made for Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, and they just threw it away. Literally, some of the best class balance this franchise has ever seen were in BF1 and BF5, and instead of following in their footsteps, we have something much closer to 2042's garbage class system. Battlefield 6 now has a support/medic role, and an assault that doesn't...
Why is there not more classes, like support role and a medic class, and why are there only 4 people per squad now, not 5?
Really have a purpose.
If anything, make 5 or 6 in a squad instead of 4.
Right now, I know DICE are going to switch the spawn beacon from the recon to the assault after the beta, but to see the recon's most important gadget get swapped 2 months before launch shows just how poorly thought out these classes actually are, and we are now in full band-aid fix mode. I think combining the support and medic class into a single class is the foundation of their problem. When DICE has used a dedicated medic class in their games and the assault class becomes more of the anti-vehicle class, it has ended up being much better distribution of roles and abilities. And then having a custom weapon selection for each role was used to handcraft their combat experience rather than trying to make them fit into a blanket combat range and blanket weapon category. DICE had already designed the building blocks for strong class identities with BF1.
And they went back on it. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why EA does this with their games. Madden, FIFA, all their games. They put something in, it's well received, whatever mode they put it in, right? Whatever the mechanic is. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're not going to put that in the next game. Why? What is the point of putting a cool feature in and then removing it and then maybe putting it back later?
1 and BF5. BF1 didn't have assault rifles exactly, so it was a little different, but Battlefield 5's template would have translated into BF6 perfectly. Locked weapons, assaults would get a lot of the anti-vehicle weapons, medic would get SMGs and DMRs, support gets ammo and LMGs and shotgun, recon gets bolt actions and some SMG pistol type options, spawn beacons, and spots. It was so much more interesting to have specific weapon lists and classes and well-defined roles. And while you might be playing BF6 and completely oblivious to all of this stuff and enjoying yourself, which honestly...
Right, and that's the crux of the problem. People that are liking Battlefield 6 look at this and go, "Oh my god, this is amazing." It's like giving your kid like something they've never had before when they're babies, and you see their eyes light up and they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," right? That is what's happening right now. The babies that are coming into, and I'm not calling people babies, what I'm saying is the new people that are coming into Battlefield that if this is their first experience, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." They don't know that this is actually a step back, right? This is a downgrade to what we've already had in Battlefield.
I was as well. It's hard to ignore when you know how much better it could be. Now
Exactly.
DICE is scrambling.
But I'm a gatekeeper, right? I'm a gatekeeper. I'm not trying to tell you the game is back because no, it's 2 steps back, as Sarge says in chat. 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? 2 steps back farther than where the bar was set before. But people are like, "This is amazing." And they're like, "Oh, you hear that? This is amazing." Kona Vision. Kona Vision is probably one of the best things they put in Madden football. And then they got rid of it. Then they put it back. Then they got rid of it. Then they put it back.
To make the assault a worthwhile class by giving it a spawn beacon, and everyone is pretending that it's fine to give healing and ammo to one class for whatever reason. It's 2042 class balance all over again, and this is more than a "we'll fix it after launch" problem. I think we're going to be stuck with trying to duct tape fix a fundamentally...
You're not getting another class. They're not going to throw another class in. You're stuck with the 4 classes. This is 7 weeks before launch, people. Support is medic now.
Bad class system for the rest of this game's development. I hope I'm wrong on that, but it seems like what it's going to be. Now, all that said, there's some good news here. This is not game-breaking. No, Battlefield 6 is still incredibly fun and fundamental.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just disappointing.
Functional. We tend to forget that Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, some of the greatest Battlefield games in the franchise, had incredibly uneven class balance.
And fixed 18 months later. Hence why you can go watch my other video of Battlefield. Hype or trust issues.
Battlefield really doesn't need equal use of all classes to work, but Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 showed us just how good it could be when class identities were much stronger. Maybe we'll get that back someday, but I don't think Battlefield 6 is going to be the game that does it. Now, Some of the more debated feedback subjects for the beta revolve around map sizes and server browsers, 2 areas that I think are hard to judge in the beta since we, only...
No, but you could judge them based on what you played. Right? And the maps that we played in the beta are not good.
We have a handful of maps, and the larger ones that have been promised are not in the beta. And 2, we don't have the Portal server browser to judge its full functionality yet. But
Agreed.
I hope DICE can deliver us the right tools for community building. It's an important part and often neglected feature that helps games last far beyond their life cycles. And regarding the maps, I will say that yes, the maps feel much smaller and more chaotic compared to past games, and I hope that there's a better mixture of large and small maps. I think the Battlefield franchise is the best when you can alternate between them to mix up the different gameplay styles. Now, beyond some of my gripes with the game, I think Battlefield 6's beta is solid. It's exciting to play, the firefights are deeply satisfying, and the VFX really are amazing, and it works even under load of 500,000 concurrent players on Steam alone. DICE actually seems prepared this time around, and it's giving me confidence in this team to deliver a stable, ready-to-play game on day one. Plus, the full game is coming with a battle royale, a new type of conquest mode, a single player, and possibly more unannounced stuff, so there's going to be a lot more to look at and play with at launch. This is, of course, just a beta review that is looking at a early access pie slice of the game. Nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this review video. If you did, don't forget to drop me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and if you want to know why I've been looking at games with a little bit more of a developer eye lately, it's because I've been working on my own game called Sea-Beams, which is a top-down spaceship action RPG. I've been making regular devlogs about the development process.
That's cool. I didn't know you were doing that.
Enjoying it so much, and you should absolutely check out one of the devlogs here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Levelcap signing off.
Make sure you make a game, sell a game. All right, so there's Levelcap. Link should be in the description down below. Did I put him in the description? I think I did. No, I did not. So let me put his video in the description. Levelcap Gaming, and then we'll put his YouTube channel down there. And you guys can go check out his channel, give it a like, give it a sub. Robert Jones says, didn't Bad Company 2 have both the ammo pack and the med? Maybe couldn't carry both at once. So they had both, but this is what I'm talking about. When Bad Company 2 came out, that was the thing. But then other games came out and made improvements on the classes and what they could do, okay? Like, even in Battlefield 1, there's multiple classes, okay? Battlefield 1 has, like, 7 classes, right? You don't think about them. But there's a tank class, there's a pilot class, there's a cavalier, there's an elite, plus the assault, plus the scout, plus the support, plus the medic. So there's like different things happening for each of the characters. And then Battlefield 5 made it better because they had the other classes, and there was a medic class, and there was a support class, and there was so they like add things and then they retract things, right? They put stuff in Battlefield 5. Imagine if we had a world where you had Battlefield 5 mechanics where you could put the sandbags up in Battlefield 6. You can't do that, right? You could dig holes in Battlefield 5, but in Battlefield 6 you can't, right? In Battlefield 2042 you could change the scopes and stuff on the fly, but you can't do that now in 2042, right? It's like they take the good, throw it in the trash, and then try something different. And it's like, why? Why are you doing that? Take the good parts of these things and make a better game overall. Krebsy says, Battlefield 5, 32 versus 32, 2042, 64 versus 64, Battlefield 6, 24 versus 24. So they know the maps are small, hence the 24 versus 24 team size, right? Didn't they have a 32 versus 32 in Breakthrough? Am I wrong on that? Yeah, because I was 25th. I was 25th of 32. I could have sworn. But then there's like the little things, right? They have a scoreboard, but why doesn't the scoreboard fit on the screen? Why do you have to scroll down? Right? They preached that Battlefield 2042 was going to have 128 players. Then they got rid of 128 players because the maps were shit, and they thought, well, it was too many people. It was too much chaos. Now we have chaos. But they're like, oh, no, it's smaller maps. Bigger maps, more people, more chaos, smaller maps, small people, still chaos. I just don't understand why Battlefield always does this. And maybe Call of Duty does this. I haven't paid attention to 14 years of Call of Duty, right? Does Call of Duty put stuff in and take stuff out, or do they continue going on? I'm assuming they do the exact same thing as Battlefield, right? Because in Bad Company, you had the assault, you had the engineer, you had the medic, and you had the recon. Medic was the medic, and he also put down, like, he did the medic and the defibrillator, right? But did he have ammo? I don't remember. I haven't played in such a long time. No, ammunition box was assault, was it not? In Bad Company 2, assault had the ammo. Assault had ammo. Engineer had repair tools. Medics had the med packs. And then Recon obviously had the motion sensor and mortar strike, right? Because you would drop the mortar strike and then have the assault guy You would have the assault guy drop the ammo pack, then switch to recon, and then just constantly bombard people. I'm pretty sure the assault... Hold on. Let me... Yeah. So, Bad Company, Class in Battlefield Bad Company combined aspects of Demolition and Specialist, right? Assault, the kit equipped with the all-purpose assault rifle with attachable underbarrel, grenade launcher, smoke grenade, shotguns, as well as ammunition boxes to support kit for resupply ammunition. Engineer, combination of Specialist and Demolition kits, having access to submachine guns and repair tool. Medic, combination of medic and support classes from Battlefield 2, while retaining the defibrillator and med kits. And recon, a long-range element of any force, useful, powerful bolt-action rifle, scope eliminated foes in range. The kit also equipped motion sensors, scope with the spot enemies automatically, and the ability to use explosions in a form of mortar strike and C4 satchels. Okay? Now, you hear people that are complaining right now that the recon shouldn't automatically spot. It's been automatically spotting for years for most of them. Now, Battlefield 1 didn't do that, and you had to spot. Okay? Maybe actually I think it does if you have a scope. I never use a scope, so I'm pretty sure you can actually automatically spot with the scope as well. Okay? But they changed it over the years, and yeah, there was 4 classes, but then there was more classes they added. And the more they added, the better it became. It's like they go backwards. Why? I have no idea. We're gonna make the greatest Battlefield in Portal. Hopefully, I'll find out like 2 months after. We'll see. Right? Battlefield classes. Yeah, see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes. 8 classes. Assault, Scout, Support, Medic, Tanker. Right? So Assault in Battlefield 1. Let's see. Does he have frag grenade gas, impact grenade, incendiary grenade, smoke grenade, right? Then you have support has the ammo. Medic has the actual, med pack. Support has the weapons. Then you have scout, which is the recon, right? Which has the where is it? It's got a shovel. And he's got the light tank and grenade. He doesn't have a spawn beacon on him, right? Also, there's a 32 versus 32. Never saw it in the beta. All my matches said players of 48. I played Breakthrough. I'm pretty sure in Breakthrough, Battlefield 6... Breakthrough player count. I think is 30. No. Let's see here. Battlefield game modes. Player number. Game mode. Player. Does it say which each mode has? It doesn't. I know for a fact that Breakthrough was more, because that's all I was playing. And I'm pretty sure it was 32 on each side. I'm pretty sure. I guess we'll see. Some of the stuff I just find funny that people are complaining about, which has been in a Battlefield game for the last 10 years. And then they're not complaining about the things that they removed from Battlefield. Right? They're complaining about the things that's been in the game for 10 years, but they're not complaining about the things that haven't been in the game for 10 years. Right? They're like, oh yeah, this is bad. It's like, that was in the game. That was fine. that's in the game. That's been fine. This wasn't in the game, and everyone's like, "Oh, it was good." I said yesterday, or 2 days ago, or last week, whatever. Right? The dragging mechanic, fantastic. The vaulting, fantastic. Okay, the vaulting, the dragging of the characters, the extra stuff where you blow up a tank or you blow up a vehicle and the fire just doesn't come out of the vehicle. It spreads in a radius around for like the gas. That's great, right? Like little things like that, awesome. And then you would hope, like, if Battlefield 7 came out, that the dragging would still be in the game, right? That would be a thing that you would hope would move forward with the franchise instead of going, oh, no, they took dragging out. Like, why? Why would they do that? Levolution was in the game. No Levolution anymore, right? Weather, not in the game anymore. Like, why? Why are you getting rid of this stuff? Probably time. Probably didn't have time. 4 years, 4 studios, they didn't have time. Instead of putting weather mechanics in the game and Levolution, they just said Battle Royale. Instead of doing this, and this, they said Portal. Build the system so they can build the maps for us. Instead of putting the stuff in the actual game. That's what they chose. Tornadoes was 2042 marketing, and it's nowhere to be seen. I'm okay without the tornadoes. That's not what I'm asking for, Krebsy. I'm asking for fog, rain, dust clouds. Like the big dust cloud that comes in Battlefield 1 when you're in the desert. The fog that when you're in the mountains, all of a sudden, it changes the dynamic of the game. It changes the sniper. Like if there's a bunch of snipers, think about the map that we played, the peak one. Think about how many snipers, that picture that we saw yesterday with all the lights. But all of a sudden, a fog rolls in. Well, guess what? The snipers are useless at that point. So you got to change your classes. So for 5 minutes on that map, people have to change their ways, right? Yeah, night maps. There's no night maps. Like, they change. It makes no sense to me why they do certain things like this. The weather would help with snipers, that's for sure. Yeah, it changes. Like, look at last night when I was playing. We played Battlefield. We were using all snipers. Battlefield 1. And then all of a sudden the fog rolled in. Well, guess what? I can't snipe from a distance anymore, so I gotta get up close and see like silhouettes and get up close and personal, use my pistol and stuff, right? That type of stuff is what changes things. They don't want to do that. There's no reinforcements in Battlefield 6. There's no massive blimp or train or boat, right? There's no massive event that happens on the map that changes. Imagine, again, the peak game that we're playing, the map. All of a sudden, a bomb goes off and a rock slide happens and it changes the foundation of the game, right? That would have been pretty cool, right? Maybe the map expands 10 minutes in the game and all of a sudden it opens up. So now there's like a flanking position or something, right? Something a little different. They're playing it safe because they're trying to monetize other stuff around it. The Battle Royale, the Portal type of stuff. 4 studios, 4 years, no Levolution, no night stuff, at least that we know of. Haven't heard anything about night maps, okay? No Levolution, no weather system, nothing. And again, I don't set the expectations. They had these things in games before, and then all of a sudden they like reset it. Battlefield 5, even though maybe we'll play that tonight. We played 1 yesterday. Maybe we'll play 5 tonight. Okay. Battlefield 5 had some really good stuff, but at the beginning it was sucked. But it was one of the most games they supported over the long run, but then they stopped supporting it completely because they wanted to add more stuff, but the sales were down. Okay. But you could create bunkers. You could create like bases and different things to keep your base safe or support it. So all of a sudden you're like, I'm building sandbags up and building walls up. Now in this one you could put a wall, okay? But you can't dig a hole. You can't build certain things. In that you could build supplies. They removed that. It's just strange, man. Remember, was it Battlefield 3 or 4? You would play on the ocean maps, and there was the ocean maps where all of a sudden, like a hurricane came in, and you couldn't see anything. You're fighting and the waves were like smashing and stuff. Where's that stuff? It's amazing. All right. That's going to do it for me this afternoon. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We'll be back tonight on 30 and Still Gaming, our other channel, playing video games. If you like it, come on over. Hang out with us. You could dig down. I'm pretty sure. Am I confusing it? I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Battlefield. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Reddit post. I didn't know that you could build/dig these trenches in Battlefield 5. Yes, 100%. You can dig trenches in Battlefield 5. That was 4. That map was epic. Yeah, with the boats, you jump on the carrier, and then there's the hurricane comes in. It's fantastic. Anyway, I'll see you guys tonight. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the more daily grind on Wednesday evenings. We also do uploads, live streams, podcasts. You can also help us by checking out the album, Perk Up, Press Play, and other solo tracks that are over on all major platforms down below in the link description. Appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Late for launch nights, sketched worlds by greenlight. Perfect dark, we brought her back, but someone higher cut the track. Ever Wild was almost real, a world that players could feel. But one email and it's all gone. No goodbye, just move along. You said thank you for your work, but your gratitude felt rehearsed. You said we mattered, then let us go. I guess that's just the way it goes. Seinfeld Spencer, thanks for the time. Here's your goodbye wrapped in a line. 1,000 hearts all in a file. Smiles we fake, dreams into now. Strategic growth and corporate code. But I can't play what we never showed. Zany Max had something new, an online world we never knew. Years of work behind closed doors, now gone without a final score. Designers dreamed of distant stars, concept art and lore-filled jars. But silence came, the lights went out. Just one more game we'll never talk about. The initiative never stood a chance. Built a team, but not the finance. Now the rooms are empty halls, and player counts just fill the goals. We don't need more vision decks, we need leaders who don't forget. It's not just games, it's who we are. We gave you stars, you sold the stars. Seinfeld Spencer, we're doing well, but your silence started to yell. Email sent, no eyes to meet. Layoffs posted in a tweet. You said we're stronger than hit delete. How do you win if you got the team? Ever Wild, perfect dark, all shut down before the spark. Rare's magic, Zenny Max's dream, a whole new world we'll never see. Seinfeld Spencer, your words were clean, but they can't patch what we've seen. You said success, but cut the roots. Now we're just echoes in business suits.